My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. All right, the current date is Thursday, December 4, 2025. And the following is video documentation captured regarding the heavily documented and thoroughly proven at the legal standard, which is beyond a reasonable doubt, as I have maintained my published real-time ceaseless investigation regarding gang stalking, a ceaseless criminal system, and an exposed criminal contract that has been created by the government that is also engaged in what is practicing what is failed and delusional witchcraft, which is exhibiting
the entity that is engaging in practicing this failed witchcraft is exhibiting its mental illness while they are engaged in what is the gang stalking system, which is the government's criminal conspiracy to murder an American citizen in concert with the people of the state who are in the shoes of the government and outside of any protections as individual citizens. And in any which case, no private citizen is protected while they're conspiring the murder of an American citizen. This is showing that it is the government's pattern of conduct, it's criminal, and the people of the state are acting in furtherance of the government's criminal system, which is designed to result in kidnapping by that government and murder by that government. And the criminal pattern of conduct is removing an American citizen, the civilian population, from the status under the Constitution, state and federal, as private citizens to what are state actors. And they are not they do not have to be an employee of the city, state, county, municipality, the locality at all. They are in the shoes of the government while they are engaged in the state's pattern of conduct, which is established through the supernatural environment where the demon-possessed are maintaining a delusional and failed system of witchcraft, which is criminal surveillance, where they are exhibiting mental illness while they are exposed as conspiring the murder of an American citizen. That is myself, and I have proven that. Now, with this evidence, the following that you're going to listen to is the verbalized threat, which is audible activity, amplified as the state actor utilizes a mode of amplification and representing the state in a police vehicle and bearing weapons, and a documented terrorist engaging what is exhibiting mental illness, practicing witchcraft, stalking me with the population, facilitating that population, and murdering, psychologically torturing me, sexually violating me, and stalking me in furtherance of ultimately kidnapping and taking my life. This state actor is engaging in monitoring while is also engaged in what is retaliatory conduct, which is a threat to my life and safety. This is audible activity, light activity, relevant positioning in the position where I remain at 537 North Euclid Avenue on December 4, 2025, where the fake sun is both rising and where it's remaining, including as I documented yesterday, December 3rd, 2025 at 12:02 p.m. This is where that state actor is last night until 12:22 a.m. today, stalking for over an hour with helicopter activity, stalking, repeatedly engaging what is criminal summoning, the malicious government tactic regarding surveillance while light activity, audible activity, and relevant positioning is underway and comes with the people of the state under the guise of manufacturing an emergency where they are criminally monitoring in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. The entity engages in this all night, and then the entity through the state actor that you are going to listen to is documented in images and on video, and I'm also documenting the subsequent and preceding evidence proving this being a state actor who is engaged in the failed practice of witchcraft, a psychopath, in other words, that is engaging what is moreover retaliatory conduct as a documented terrorist in furtherance of my murder with knowledge based on the surveillance system underway that you've both been documented and you are retaliating against me in furtherance of murdering me because I am documenting you, which is, again, the ongoing unlawful intrusion in a federal case against that government that is still conspiring murder, gang stalking in real time, and exhibiting the impunity and mental illness and malice to continuously do so. That is what is all. That is all that is relevant, and more. But these are the highlights that I want you to focus in on when you are listening to the documentation regarding the Ontario Police Department engaging in a documented pattern of what is stalking me, monitoring, and terrorizing, targeting me at yet another venue. Doing so from place to place, where the entity is engaging in what is criminal summoning at the hometown barbershop, and then engaging in criminal summoning at the Tabor Professional Building, and then engaging in criminal summoning at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, and then engaging in criminal summoning where the entity is engaged in what is an unlawful eviction in order to engage in targeting me from place to place while gang stalking me in furtherance of murder and kidnapping in concert with this population, and doing so while the purpose is to criminally defame in order to engage in getting away with criminal acts that this entity, including the Ontario Police and the people, have already committed, and doing so for the greater impact of the state of California, the U.S. government that's engaged in what is stealing from me, defaming my character, relying on the local city police who are engaged in criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder and kidnapping, accomplishing that through criminal defamation. And this agency is engaged in what is criminal summoning, targeting me from venue to venue after they engaged in what is that unlawful eviction via criminal defamation, the same criminal summoning which Tracy Banks and the Ontario Police Department gang stalking the entire time with the people of the state committed on May 29, 2025. The entity is engaging in this while they are hostile psychopaths, very unbalanced, very delusional, and also very highly threatening because of their severe mental illness, while they continuously target and do so with a greater level of hostility and aggression, such as stalking and helicopter, which you witness on podcasts and on video, and then engage in what is ongoing threats to kidnap, harass, engaging in what is battering me and stalking me incessantly while I am sleeping essentially outside after this entity committed what is an unlawful eviction after gang stalking me at Tracy Banks' apartment. Okay, what you're listening to in the following podcast is the entity threatening to commit kidnapping while I am moreover on public property, and it doesn't matter the status of the property, while they are stalking. You're engaged in criminal activity and you're threatening to engage in criminal conduct against me because I am documenting you, because I am enforcing my rights against you. That is federal prison at the outset. The entity is engaged in that ongoing pattern of conduct as I am documenting the entity stalking me from place to place, as the podcast and the video documentation also establishes, doing so at venues such as the OVITT Family Community Library. You're going to listen to that threat, and it is also relevant for the prosecution of the entire U.S. government that is aiding in this ongoing conspiracy to commit murder, which is proven beyond a reasonable doubt on my published investigation that is all over the internet. This is P.O.C. This is P.O.C. The people are monitoring, and this is where the fake sunrise is occurring. This is the entity that's... You're being nice for what? Who? I can't see. Oh, this is the one that's engaged in stalking at 8:39 a.m. She's threatening to engage in kidnapping, license 1706919. She's stalking at Starbucks with Corey Walton. She's stalking with the entity engaging in gang stalking at 8:39 a.m. And she just said, you're going to have to go to jail. I'm being nice. That was her audible activity right now. This is P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct together. That's the female. She's engaged in criminal summoning under the fake sun at the OVITT Family Community Library at 8:39 a.m. on video, and criminal summoning with Corey Walton at 6:33 a.m. where the fake sun is rising. She's there cheesing from ear to ear with the fake sun. You can see her waving at me through the window while the people of the state are stalking with impossible light, molesting, and they're pacing in and out with the entity monitoring. That's her. She sounds her the alarm. The entity is engaging in what is harassment targeting by the agency that engaged in what is for an hour and a half stalked me by helicopter last night, and she just engaged in what is threatening to take me to jail. And then she drove away. This is P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 6:35 a.m. This is the entity that's engaging in that ongoing harassment and terrorism and threats to engage in kidnapping while monitoring. That's impossible light, not headlights. 9UDG 279, stalking and molesting with the Ontario Police and their demons together. They're demons together. Okay, that's P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaging in that while they're going to be losing custody of their kids, while they're going to federal prison, while they're being disbanded as a gang stalking police department, engaging in what is, this is terrorism, while the Ontario Police target as an agency. This is not just harassment, and it's facilitation with the people of the state. It's terrorism. And her audible activity while she's gang stalking with the demons, whose headlights are not going to create what is dynamic light across this. They're stalking just like they are at nightfall, just like they are under the fake sun, doing so while I am publishing the evidence online. This is the entity that's engaging in that. They look at the evidence, they engage in more harassment. That's P.O.C. That's the demon, the psychopath that's pacing on video. And this is a retaliatory act of her, terrorism also while she's a documented terrorist. Again, 8:39 a.m., OVITT Family Community Library, and inside at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, and documented gang stalking at the Laurel and C Street chiropractor's office, where I documented the fake sun over me in the afternoon. She's there gang stalking in the parking lot at 7 o'clock in the morning under the fake sun. Okay, I was there days ago under that fake sun, speaking to the fact that she was stalking in the path, engaging in surveillance while I'm walking through the neighborhood, while that fake sun is over me at that same office. You're talking about 10 o'clock in the morning. All right, that's during daylight savings time, so that will be a 5-hour difference. During this time, that will be 5 a.m. This is P.O.C. She engages in what is harassment by sounding the loud alarm. She makes some sort of utterance, and the last thing I heard was, or you're going to go to jail. And then she drives off. And they're all monitoring to that. They're all monitoring to that, and that was impossible light activity skating all around over here. While you're turning here, it's not causing light activity that's skating all around the wall. These are demons that are monitoring to the threat. Okay, this is sexually gratifying for demon-possessed terrorists who are hostile. This is a retaliation by the entity that's conspiring murder, gang stalking together the people and the state. And she's talking about taking me to jail for being on the bus bench. This is public property. She's going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:38 a.m. This is impossible light on the curb you see on this side of the street. These are demons that are all stalking. That's not sunlight that's going to be touching this side of the curb. The fake sun on the opposite side of 536 North Euclid Avenue. The fake sun is over me at 12 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday. These demons are molesting with impossible light. This is impossible light that's on the wall. And the magnified size of the shadow of the bus is projected onto the wall. This is engineer light, and this is engineer light on the curb, while the fake sun is behind the curb. So again, they're driving in light that's flying in the air. This is a gang of demons that engage in threatening to kidnap together with the Ontario police. Pay attention. They're driving in the engineered light that is flying in the air. Okay? First of all, the sun is not rising in alignment to one person. This is the entity that is proven to be targeting as a city, including the demon that is gang stalking in the Ontario police vehicle, threatening as a means of monitoring with these psychopaths who are demon possessed, who are gang stalking. And they have resolved to engage in what is threatening to kidnap together because they're monitoring together. So, like I stated, they are sexually gratified as psychopaths, engaging in what is retaliation as an entity conspiring murder, hostile to the documentation that's published on the internet, including the entity stalking for an hour and a half while they are monitoring. They're stalking in engineer light. None of this is sunlight. They're all engaged in the conspiracy to murder together. They're doing so while the impossible light activity and their shadows of the vehicles are appearing on the opposite side of the curb. It's creating light activity. While they're driving, an engineer light is appearing on the passenger side of their vehicles. Engineer light is in the air for the gang stalking purposes of the demons, which includes the demons of the Ontario police, who stand here sounding a buzz, amplifying my name on the speaker, and stating the threat that you're going to jail, you have 2 minutes, I'm being nice, and then driving off. And doing so where the fake sun is remaining, where the people of the state commit the sex offense on behalf as an entity molesting with engineer light monitoring. Okay, they're driving in the engineer light, creating light activity. The shadow of their vehicles is appearing in this engineer light that's along the curb. Okay, that's light activity. These are demons that are monitoring, and they're monitoring to what is a threat to commit kidnapping together while they're all stalking. These are hostile demons that are sharing in that conspiracy to murder that I'm publishing on the internet in the ongoing investigation that has already prosecuted the state, including that department that's engaging in that threat and that demon operating that vehicle. And that is on the internet where the entity is stalking also. Okay, this is where the fake sunrise is happening, and this is where the entity is stalking as an airport. Okay, engaging what is cartwheels in the sky space while they're stalking in planes, engaging in surveillance with the state. All right, it is currently, by the way, 7:08 a.m. There's no sunrise, and this isn't sunlight. You see it rapidly disappearing where the entity has the fake sun. The agency that committed that threat, she's the same psychopath, gang stalking at 8:38 a.m. at the OVITT Family Community Library. And I reminded you later that day at 3 p.m. while that fake sun was still at that OVITT Family Community Library that you already know sits there when I remain there. But it's not there when I'm not at that library. That's where your reminded Corey Walton and this demon that's engaged in what is using a threat to commit kidnapping while she's stalking as an agency and as a demon with the police department, and then driving away after she monitors with via a threat in concert with the demons who are hostile and sharing in that criminal act of retaliating against an American citizen that's documenting it while they're exhibiting mental illness. This is my shadow back here. Let me show you this. This is impossible light, just like it is at nightfall when it's not their headlights and they're driving in light that's flying in the air.
This is absolutely mentally ill conduct that they're sharing it, and it's criminal conduct, where the entities engage in cartwheels and flying straight over. There's no airport, and they're also not landing behind Chevron like they were last night when they engaged in stalking for an hour and a half by helicopter, also targeting stalking with impossible light, sharing in a sex offense, and furtherance of murder. And acting with retaliatory measures because I'm publishing it, they're going to prison for that. They're going to prison for gang stalking. They're going to federal prison for engaging what is ongoing harassment and threats to commit kidnapping as a gang stalker that has been caught masquerading as a police department while they have been compensated to target me in furtherance of murdering me, and they facilitate that by the demons who are stalking and endangering your life with the sound of plane activity and train activity. P.O.C, Chevron, ARCO, Starbucks, the entity that is gang stalking by residents, the entity that is gang stalking as a city. Ongoing traffic is surveillance. This is P.O.C. It's been longer than 2 minutes, by the way, and that is an ongoing threat. The entity's engaging in that while they want to engage in threatening with helicopter activity, trying to control you. The entity is engaging what is threatening to kidnap, trying to control you, trying to psychologically torture you, threaten you, while they are committing what is federal offenses regarding federal prison, while they're monitoring at the same time while they commit kidnapping. And this is what the federal government, Jason Fields, is going to prison for, because an American citizen is subject to it in the first place, let alone federal prison as a means of prosecuting and enforcing your rights while the entity is engaging in the system of terrorism. P.O.C, it is currently 7:11 a.m. The airport stalking, the people of the state stalking, flying in all manner of different elevations as well from the same supposed airport. Okay, so under the fake sun that's over me at this same building at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, they're not driving in sunlight. They're not engaging in any private activity. They're not engaging in any lawful conduct either. Okay, that is mentally ill, and so they engage in what is obviously stalking and harassing in manners that they never wanted to be exposed. That's relevant to mental illness. This is the entity that is, again, crashing and killing people in Kentucky. UPS is engaging in what is cartwheels. These are planes that are engaging what is stalking as an agency, as an entity, as a population, and they're engaging in that openly, that which I expose in an investigation, and psychopaths engage in it openly in front of everyone, that which they never intended to be shown. The fact that they're stalking, doing it openly, doing it conspicuously, while you are aware that it's being documented, is a concession to having lost, and it's also a concession and admission to mental illness, and they're engaging in more of that criminal activity as a means of a hostile threat. That's what's relevant behind, obviously, stalking in a helicopter, stalking with impossible light activity, doing so in school buses and in police vehicles, while they're engaging in that because they are hostile as demons that have been surrounded with evidence of their mental illness and their criminal conduct. The Ontario Police vocalizing a threat amongst what is amplified audible activity with Tracy Banks, 9HUZ740. She's going to prison. She's listening to every word, and these are the puppets of Satan that operate together. Tracy Banks is engaging in it. Ontario police are going around the perimeter together, engaging in that pattern of conduct as one. Okay, she's sharing in the ritual. She's going to federal prison as well, and so is her sex partner, Jason Isaac Fields. Her sex partners of the Ontario Police Department as well. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:12 a.m. P.O.C. The entity is stalking by helicopter while the city of Ontario, the people of the state, 9-piece YC 647, the people of the state pacing on the sidewalk behind me, and pacing, stalking at the airport, and pacing on the roads and the highways under the fake sun that is over me on this same street at 8:34 a.m. That's the current time right now. The entity engaging what is an hour and a half of stalking by helicopter, doing the exact same thing in the exact same specific environment. Remember, the fake moon's right over the top of my head last night as I'm documenting until 12:22 a.m. That's over an hour of the entity stalking, harassing, and terrorizing using helicopters of the gang stalkers, Ontario Police, who they have no intention whatsoever to maintain any sort of defense in court. They have been proven, and they are fully communicating their enemy status regarding the United States of America, and that they have failed in a contract to murder me, gang stalking me with the people of the state, and they are engaging what is harassment and threatening now with regard to my documentation on my device regarding the mentally ill demons who are engaged in what is delusional and failed witchcraft while I'm documenting the evidence that I've already captured.
This is failed witchcraft, which is resulting in the demon-possessed that practice witchcraft and try to take out contracts with Satan to murder people. This is the satanic system of gang stalking proven through the fake sun that's over me, like you see right here, right now, where the entity is indeed stalking by helicopter while they're monitoring what I'm uploading on my device, and these demons are stalking with light that is not going to shoot off of your car onto my person, and the sun that's not going to remain over the same person at the same location, like I documented at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. That's what I'm capturing very damning and triggering screenshots of, including the gang stalking municipality, that is Paul Leon, the gang stalking airport, that is Alan D. WAPNER, the gang stalking people of the state, including the gang stalking hitman and con woman, Tracy Banks, license 9HUZ740, engaging in this participating in this ritual after I'm capturing damning evidence of the entity stalking for a whole over an hour, just like the Los Angeles Police Department did, by the way, keeping me under surveillance and furtherance of the same failed contract where the demon-possessed are engaging what is delusional and failed witchcraft, thus sacrificing themselves, and it is including what is a public exposure and a federal prosecution for terrorism. This is P.O.C. This is 537 North Euclid Avenue. The entity has the fake sun over me while I'm at Chevron at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. This is the entity that has the fake sun over me. While this morning, this demon is engaged in what is threatening to commit kidnapping while she is at using her, as I documented, using the police vehicle as a buzzer, amplified audible activity, the entity maintaining the fake sunrise right here, doing so while she is making a verbal threat as the means of audible noise while they're all engaged in monitoring, doing so while under that fake sun. This is witchcraft, and combining that witchcraft with what is a verbalized threat to commit kidnapping while they're stalking. She made a threat to kidnapping. This is the agency that's stalking and doing so. She's going to federal prison. She is the demon that is on video that I documented this morning. The fake sun has not moved, and you know it did not move. It remained here while Omnitrans is gang stalking with the people in the same manner that the rest of the population is gang stalking and making a threat to engage in kidnapping when you are fully proven as engaging in what is a criminal pattern of conduct as an agency is a means of the entity that is engaged in what is a failed sacrifice and failed witchcraft. Literally, their witchcraft requires them to engage in this harassment, stalking, psychological torture, threats, retaliation, which is supposed to maintain some affect on you, such as oppressing you physically and your mindset so that their spell work, their voodoo, etc. is effective. It's not working. And it's evidence of them stalking and evidence of being demons. The fake sun is right here at 12 p.m. yesterday. Look at my evidence, and I'm capturing images of it for you to see it yourself. This is why the entity is stalking by helicopter, and I am indeed the one, just like last night. The fake moon is over me. They're stalking for over an hour in a helicopter. The fake sun is over me. They are stalking as I am engaged in, again, lawful conduct, freedom of speech, and a protection of myself, an obligation under the Constitution to expose the government that conspired with the people of the state, the population, to murder me by the system of gang stalking. They've also committed this with the intent, the motive to profit from my demise. And this demon that's on in images engaging in that, I'm going to go ahead and include it in the video. 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and document it because it's that important to this criminal system. She's verbalizing a threat in the video that you already saw. She is going to federal prison as this is a desperate means of harassment and terrorism because of my documentation that I capture, and also because of the spiritual impact. These are demons, and they're practicing witchcraft while they make these threats. They're practicing witchcraft while they're stalking me in helicopters. They're practicing witchcraft while they're stalking as a population under a fake sun. And it's failed witchcraft, and it's exposing mental illness that is shared by a population that includes that terrorist organization and Michael Lorenz. License plate 1706919, vehicle 1129. And she's engaging what is verbalizing this threat while she's monitoring with the people of the state who are molesting me with impossible light that's shooting backwards towards me while they're stalking on the roads and the highways with that agency that is stalking, using its vehicles, abusing its authority, its position, where they're exercising authority that they don't have while they're engaged in proven criminal surveillance, which is demonic, and it is indeed failed witchcraft. They are sharing in this failed witchcraft, which is speaking to the fact that these demons have sacrificed themselves. And the public exposure regarding this failed witchcraft, it is going to result in what is their homelessness. It is going to result in what is their loss of physical life. It is going to result in what is the loss of their own well-being and those connected to them, loss of position, loss of what is their careers, their reputation. This is the entity that engaged in what is trying to sacrifice me, and this is a failed witchcraft, a failed effort, and a delusional continuation of witchcraft that is not effective. That's where you're getting to analyzing the behavior in addition to what is the criminal conduct, which is mentally deranged in the first place. While I capture damning screenshots, the entity begins that ongoing ritual using the helicopter. They're doing so in that engineer light. That's engineer light on the asphalt where they're walking their dog, gang stalking. This is the entity that is stalking under a fake sun that's still here after 12 p.m. where they're stalking as the airport. And doing so while the municipality is a demon. These are demons that are maintaining light activity while these demons are maintaining light activity pacing up and down Euclid Avenue with the people of the state. The municipality is not stalking by itself. The city of Ontario is not stalking by itself. They're doing it with the population. All of them. They're the ones that are driving in the engineer light. They're the ones that are molesting with engineer light. Those are the ones that are monitoring while the entity utters threats to commit kidnapping while they're stalking in real time. That's the P.O.C. It is relevant to what is obstruction of justice while I document on my devices regarding the ongoing conduct that they are not only proven to be engaging in, but they're monitoring the evidence as it's captured. This is the entity that is indeed going to prison, and so are the demon-possessed, mentally ill people of the state. P.O.C. It's currently 8:40 a.m.
Plate 8ZBA084 25301 Sam 3 7VBL 795. This is light activity. It's demonic. That's the city of Ontario. License 149KK. That's a handicap plate. That's 1592079. The city of Ontario is already established as a terrorist. The people of the state are terrorists, and they are co-conspirators of murder. This is thousands of people that are co-conspirators of murder with the entity that is stalking as a population under a fake sun. License 7BVA426. License FR847. If you'll recall, the entity stalked here last night for over an hour. The Ontario police engaged in the same pattern in relevant position on F Street, where the people of the state are pacing at engineer light just like they are now. These are demons doing so under the fake sun, showing again that pattern of targeting me. The fake moon was over my head right here, where the Ontario police are proving that they're all targeting me on behalf of that terrorist organization. And these are all domestic terrorists that are individually conspiring murder and gang stalking while stalking in the path. License 1709619 in use of her communication device, stalking under the fake sun, illegally parked, and parks here after I start recording this video of her stalking under the fake sun at 9:56 a.m., which is outside of the Ontario Airport in the window that's facing the Archibald Avenue 10 freeway. I want to be clear, this is an agency that's engaged in what is gang stalking. She committed a threat this morning. Her verbalized threat on the speaker, calling me out by name while I'm covered up in my sleeping bag. This is an agency that's engaged in what is stalking, and engaging in what is stalking, you know that because she is stalking under the 8:39 a.m. fake sun over the OVITT Family Community Library. The 8:39 a.m. fake sun that was not over that library while it was remaining over the Ontario Airport and at 1801 East G Street, where the population is engaged in stalking and monitoring genitalia on behalf of this agency at a hotel, okay, on the roads and the highways. This is not outside of that airport window, and this is the entity that's engaged in that unlawful threat. This is the pattern of conduct. She's a demon stalking under the fake sun at 6:33 a.m. in the city of Ontario at the Starbucks. This is criminal obstruction of justice while she's engaging in that P.O.C. And she is engaged in monitoring right now, just like she was this morning while she's using the buzzer. And she's citing me by name. She's citing me by name, and she's engaged in what is verbalizing a threat, utilizing a city vehicle, speaking about engaging in kidnapping under the fake sun. It's 9:58 a.m. L. Edwards is under the fake sun at 9:04 a.m. The Ontario police engaged in what is stalking in helicopter this morning while I'm in use of my device. This is the same agency engaged in what is obstruction of justice while I'm in use of my device, documenting the co-conspirators of murder who are targeting with the Ontario police. This is the entity engaging in criminal summoning from place to place, and this is not outside of the Ontario Airport. And this is also a demon that is stalking under that fake sun that is remaining over me, speaking to an entity. This is the pattern of conduct. What's the trouble? This is audible activity she's monitoring. What's the trouble?
If you're not taking the bus, they want you moved along.
Who is they?
The city.
Who's the city?
You got a call from the city.
You got a call from the city. That's criminal summoning. The city that's here? The city that's here? Is that what you stated this morning?
Listen to me.
Do you know my name? How do you know my name?
Because I deal with you every day.
No. When have I dealt with you? Did we talk when you were under the fake sun at 8:38? When did we talk? Because I documented it. When did we talk?
You record me every day.
Every day? So I recorded you yesterday? I recorded you last week?
Every time I drive by. This morning you recorded me when you woke up.
Yeah, that's not every day. What other day? You're saying you know my name. Excuse me. You're going to threaten me. You're going to listen. You're stating that you said 2 minutes 2 hours ago. I'm still here. And I'm on public property. Just so that you know that.
You keep communicating a threat and you're going to federal prison. This is a demon who's engaging in what is witchcraft. That is Jay Sandoval, and that is badge number 19955. Okay, and this is the entity that's doing so under the fake Sandoval of the state. License 8 Charlie Thomas 503. And this is, I want to be clear, this remains public property. She is stating, just like they do with the OVITT Family Community Library, we got a call that you were yelling at someone in the bathroom. We got a call at the Ontario Town Square that you were harassing someone. They engage in what is kidnapping on the basis of criminal summoning while they're gang stalking. This is where the entity is stalking by helicopter, and she has no authority under the law. This is a threat to commit kidnapping, and she's going to prison. She's under this fake Senate at 6:33 a.m. at 507 North Euclid Avenue. This is the entity that's engaging in that P.O.C, and this remains public property. This is the entity that's engaging in that while they're engaging in the pattern of conduct of seeking to obstruct justice while she's stalking. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. That's P.O.C. She communicated the same threat this morning under the fake sun that was rising. Okay, you're going to sit right here because this is the entity that's engaged in the pattern of conduct. The Ontario Town Square is also public property where they had no right to commit kidnapping. They had no right to approach no reasonable suspicion. 1706919 is going to prison. And I want to be clear, they're doing this because they are failing in saving the people of the state. Omnitrans is monitoring with the police department. That's an African-American male. And the fake sun remains here at 12 p.m. where the same entity is engaged in that pattern of conduct. They're monitoring. They know that I'm not getting on the bus. They're monitoring together. The fake sun is over me right here in the same manner, 1613613, 1220. Just like employee number 3603 molested me with impossible light, while I am not getting on the bus, which is on Hope Boulevard, Route 61, coming to this location, and the fake sun's already over me on Euclid Avenue, where the police and Omnitrans and the people of the state are gang stalking together. Do not be distracted by that, and she is going to federal prison. Sitting on the public property, being at Ontario Town Square, public property, and the entity engages in what is, I'm going to arrest you if you don't leave public property while you're not violating the law. Moreover, they're engaged in targeting. And she's doing that because I'm exposing to you, reading those license plates. They are failing. The people of the state are terrorists. They're co-conspirators of murder, and they're doing so on behalf of that agency that is engaging and proving that while gang stalking in my video documentation. Doing so using helicopters as well. 9 UCR 293, co-conspirator of murder. This is P.O.C. They're gang stalking with that agency. The fake sun doesn't move. The fake sun remains over me while they maintain that same ongoing stalking system. The city of Ontario, the municipality, every business, the entity is doing so, committing kidnapping as an agency at 7:15 in the morning right here at the Starbucks. That's the P.O.C. All right? That's the P.O.C. The entity is engaged in what is, this is, I want to also be clear, this is a publicly exposed criminal system, and these are the mentally ill who are a threat to children, who are subject to deportation, who are in need of what is martial law, while they conspire the murder of an American citizen, while they target that person together. They're co-conspirators of murder while the entity is engaging in what is domestic terrorism as one entity. Thousands of people conspiring murder together. License 9 UHL 389, and they do so while you're looking at them stalking with impossible light day and night. They're engaged in that criminal conspiracy. They do so while the agency engages in what is documented and published threats. She is coming on the video, very foolish conduct, and it does not remove the criminal liability of the people, but that's their purpose, engaging in that. While they jump in front of the camera, the people of the state are going to prison regardless. They're the ones engaged in what is criminal summoning and stating that the city called them about me being on the bench while they're gang stalking, and they are stopping at the bus stop monitoring me. Okay, they're engaged in that P.O.C. and the documentation showing the specific environment that they are indeed targeting. This is what she's stating this morning, and she's going to federal prison, and she comes and reiterates that threat while the entity is maintaining surveillance of all of the evidence. This is the entity that is indeed going to prison. This license plate, co-conspirator of murder, 9VBG039. The fake sun is over me. It is currently 10:03 a.m. The entity kept the fake sun in this position right here at this bus stop at 12:02 p.m. and then remained over me at the OVITT Family Community Library, where Gregory is already a co-conspirator of murder, gang stalking me, while the fake sun remains over the OVITT Family Community Library, and the liars are on camera engaging what is fabricating information. I do not document her every day, and we have never had an encounter where we exchange names. The kidnapper, Corey Walton, is the one whose name I know. Don't even know her name. I got her name right now for the first time, but I know her image. I documented that demon gang stalking at OVITT. I documented that demon gang stalking with Corey Walton at Starbucks. I documented that demon gang stalking at the Laurel and C Street chiropractic office inside of her vehicle, where we also did not have any communication. All right, that's how easily they lie. Listen to what they're stating. The entity is doing so, and they're doing so while they're jumping in front of my camera, and that's not deviating from the pattern of conduct of you targeting and co-conspiring in murder with Tracy Banks and with the rest of the people of the state. including 8 Charlie Thomas 503. The demons inside of this building in relevant positioning, all monitoring on the roads and the highways, just like they are at nightfall, just like they were last night, stalking by helicopter for over an hour, where the fake moon was over me here and where the fake sun is over me right here. And it remains over me, as I documented yesterday at 12 p.m., where the people of the state, co-conspirators of murder, are maintaining surveillance while that environment remains around you. And they're doing it inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. This is P.O.C. That's federal prison, while the people of the state are conspiring murder with a gang stalking police department, doing so to engage in what is murder and kidnapping. Doing so while the entity is citing, making up, just like she's making up that I'm documenting her every day, and her knowing my name is not relevant to what is gang stalking insofar as proving that you're not gang stalking because you know my name. You know my name because you're engaged in criminal surveillance. Moreover, you're engaging in what is, whether I'm documenting you every day, that is also incriminating conduct that you are aware of my name. The entity is engaging what is stating your name to imply that you're a problem somehow, and the entity is the one that's engaged in surveillance with the people of the state. I just want you to be aware of all the tactics that they're engaged in, and it's all because they're demons that wear those uniforms and they don't have any legitimacy. They don't have any. And all these people, they're all sharing in that criminal conspiracy to commit murder. I'm documenting them on license via license plate. I'm showing you the fact that they are sharing in a criminal system. And Tracy Banks is not going to prison by herself. Tracy Banks is targeting and furtherance of murder with Jason Fields and the rest of the government actors, the entire population. This is a statewide system of surveillance. That's why it's happening in San Diego, as I already proved, in Fontana, as I already proved, in San Bernardino, as I already proved, in Pomona, California, as I already proved, in Los Angeles, as I already proved. They are co-conspirators of murder, and they're subject to federal prison. This demon that jumped in front of my camera vocalizing and repeating that threat, that very foolish criminal conduct, is because she is lacking in knowledge. They're all co-conspirators of murder, and she's not distracting from that. They're gang stalking together in reliance of that very conduct. Gang stalking and bullying by the gang stalking police officers while in order to obstruct justice while you document co-conspirator license 9 Frank Yolanda David 283. This is P.O.C. engaging in seeking to and threatening to kidnap at public property, while the entity is targeting from place to place, including while I am remaining within the confines of the law, while the entity is targeting you, oppressing you, and then seeking to harass, especially to obstruct justice because I'm documenting it. This is P.O.C. This is relevant to the entity that is repeating that threat, and that is not a coincidence. She is a heavy-duty stalker monitoring my vagina and lands right here in front of me the moment that I start recording. Pay attention to the video as I start. City of Ontario monitoring, the light activity. I'm reading license plates. I turn this direction, I turn back, and that demon is right there as I'm recording video. They are all monitoring, and so is that demon that intentionally wants to be on the camera, and that's incriminating. It's not saving them, and they're all subject to federal prison, including the demons at the OVITT Family Community Library. They're going to federal prison. Sean Thrasher, Daisy, the demons that engage in criminal defamation and furtherance of this criminal objective are going to federal prison with that agency that jumps in front of my camera, helping me to put the people of the state where they belong in prison as terrorists in the U.S. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:07 a.m. at 537 North Euclid Avenue. Alrighty, that's the pattern of conduct. All right, it is currently 10:15 a.m. You listen to, I'm analyzing with screenshots is my analysis, my visual analysis for you to see, the entity that is engaged in gang stalking while simultaneously vocalizing threats and impliedly threatening by virtue of identity, engaging in criminal stalking, in furtherance of murder, kidnapping, also engaging in what is this witchcraft, this demonic system of federal group stalking monitoring license 7GMG798. This is the entity that it's stalking under the fake sun at 10:15 a.m. at the same address, 537 North Euclid Avenue, where the demon that you listen to, Jay Sandoval, whose name I've never heard. We've never engaged in what is a conversation. She maintains a goofy smile on her face. It's very creepy. She's a demon, and she smiles while she's monitoring. It's very demonic. We have never had an exchange other than when I called her out in my documentation, and I wasn't talking to her. I was referring to the previously documented terrorists that engaged in criminal summoning at the OVITT Family Community Library, and of course I documented that. So everybody witnesses how there was no conversation with her, and I don't converse with these demons. The only ones that I have conversed with before are the ones that I've clearly I communicate with them on my podcast, on my in my documentation, because they are kidnappers and because they are liars. So my encounters with them are documented, and I document them just like the entity that engaged in criminal summoning yesterday. Gerber and Ornalis, okay? And I'm documenting Hadel Shiapani engaging in what is criminal summoning under the fake sun at this same curbside. So the same crime scene is what Hadel Shiapani and 2 photographers and another female officer are engaged in criminal summoning with this population, who are all stalking as a population under the fake sun. And it remains criminal activity that the people of the state are co-conspirators of murder for, while they are in that environment engaging in the same P.O.C., while the entity even pulls out photographers while they engage in gang stalking via criminal summoning under the fake sun, which is over me. The fake sun that's not over simultaneously the Ontario Airport Inn, which I document because there is no controversy and there also is no reasonable or actual question regarding harassment, even while the Ontario police are engaging in what is blatant stalking. Pay attention to what they're doing on purpose. Stalking by helicopter for over an hour. That's the entity that knows that it's being documented. Stalking by engaging in what is repeatedly harassing and committing battery, and then anticipating that I'm going to document it. I'm capturing video. 1 minute into the video, this demon, Jay Sandoval, is immediately in the path and wants to be on camera. This is the entity that's, I also want to document, she's in use of her communication device while they are aware of the fact that I'm documenting them. The entity is engaged in what is first of all, federal stalking while you're in use of your device. They're engaged in criminal surveillance, let alone the entity is engaged in what is documenting while you're stalking me. You're stalking, you're documenting that you're stalking. The entity is engaged in what is using their devices while they're using their body cams, and they're under all circumstances stalking in a specific environment. They're stalking and engaging in a targeting while I am documenting and have been documenting the fact that they repeatedly kidnap pursuant to false and malicious allegations that are manufactured as well, while they're engaging in targeting at the same time that I have been documenting it. There's no competition here, and it's not a competition regarding what they say while they don't have authority because they're engaged in criminal activity, targeting, which is proven. Not only that, the entity is engaging in license 62481V2. That's a Latino male, gang stalking, license 27217 Henry 3. Those are demons that are monitoring, and those are co-conspirators of murder with the city of Ontario. That's the state of California. The Ontario Police Department are not the only terrorist organization that are engaged in conspiring my murder. They are the ones that are engaged in facilitating it in the city of Ontario. And Jay Sandoval and the city of Ontario, the Ontario Police Department, are co-conspirators of murder, including while I'm documenting, and she's in use of her device, taking pictures of me while she's, or video, she's in use of her device, in other words, while she is holding it in my direction, presumably documenting that I'm standing on the sidewalk, that I'm in use of my phone while I'm on the sidewalk, while she has no authority under the law, both because she's engaged in criminal monitoring and because I'm literally standing on the sidewalk. Also earlier when I'm on the bench, again, in full operation of my, I'm not violating the law, but they don't have authority under the law, but still analyzing that. The entity is engaging in what is harassing me. She's on the video approaching, and this is relevant to what wants to be a distraction. It is criminal monitoring at the same time. It is the intent to distract away from the people of the state who are going to prison. The people of the state are monitoring to everything that is said. No matter what you're saying, they're monitoring, including while you make threats and drive away. That's what she did at 7 in the morning that I documented. This is what she did again, intentionally while I'm capturing video, speaking to the fake sun that's outside of the Ontario Airport and at 1801 East G Street, facing the 10 freeway at 9:56 a.m., where you're looking at engineered light on the inside of that hotel floor on the wall, and the impossible light activity where the demon is outside of my hotel room using the vacuum, which is audible activity, does so with simultaneity to my uploading images of that fake sun and providing the ongoing analysis, just like I was doing today, capturing screenshots, and the entity flies over me, flies over my head by helicopter, just like I was last night, capturing damning and indicting and what is triggering podcast audio documentation regarding the evidence of this entity stalking, and the entity engages in stalking at this same intersection with the fake moon over my head for over an hour. The entity is engaging in this blatant stalking and harassment, and it is a failed tactic. It's not deviating away from the people of the state. That's what Tracy Banks is, and Tracy Banks is not going to prison by herself. OVITT Family Community Library commits criminal summoning. It will never be true that they're engaging in what is an allegation of molesting children, just like it's not true that I am, first of all, the city doesn't have any basis to complain that somebody's sitting on the bus bench. That's what they're here for. They're doing so while the bus literally stops in front of me to stop. The bus is fully in operation, and it is engaged in what is monitoring while they stop, and they do so intentionally as, I just want to be context, Omnitrends is monitoring while they are on the surface appearing to be what is contradicting what she's, the city. Well, the city is still using the bus stop, and I'm not an impediment to that, by the way, while I'm standing at the bus stop like any other person that will be in the same position as me, in use of my communication communication device, not coincidentally documenting criminal activity that she and the co-conspirator 7BMZ471 are engaging in gang stalking under a fake sun, sharing in mental illness and that malicious criminal surveillance system. All right, the entities engaged in this while the bat poo crazy conduct of the Ontario airport, stalking, dipping and diving and doing cartwheels all over the Chevron and the Hermanidad and the Bethel congregation. There's no airport even close to this location. There's no airport on Lemon. There's no airport on the street east of Lemon. The airport is Terminals 2 and Terminal 4 south of Holt Boulevard. So they're not flying in any direction that's over Chevron, over ARCO, over anywhere up up Euclid Avenue. They are stalking, and that's psychopathic stalking, while a psychopath jumps in front of my camera 1 minute into my video and communicates a threat, again, does so while I'm not in violation of the law. The entity is doing this on purpose with regard to trying to threaten. This is witchcraft. This is relevant to witchcraft. But this is relevant to, because these are demons and they're engaging in that, try to instill fear, threaten you where you don't even have a right, so you're threatening to take my paycheck and it's my money. How are you going to do that? You're threatening to fire me for when I didn't do anything wrong. You're threatening to call the police because I'm in the bathroom using my phone in the bathroom, what the people of the state do. This is what gang stalking police department is threatening to engage in what is a kidnapping while they are in violation of the law and targeting you because you're documenting and proving the fact that they're in violation of the law, and that is supposed to mess with your head. That is a threat on its face, but it's also a threat in substance. It's psychological torture by a psychopath who is a pacing demon. She's a feces eater. She's on video at 8:38 a.m. pacing at the moment that I document on my video that audible activity. DD24U30, that's the demon with the paper plate on the silver Silverado. Gang stalking on Euclid Avenue. They live right here on Euclid Avenue. Anyway, the entity is engaging in pacing the moment on my video at 8:38 a.m. at the OVITT Family Community Library. The moment that I referenced the fact that I documented her never speaking to her. Okay, I only referred to the demon Corey Walton, who I told I was making jest at him because he's always, again, engaged in what is laughter, very sick conduct while you're engaged in what is gang stalking and furtherance of murder. They maintain those goofy smiles as demons who are acting toward your demise but appearing as a friendly officer, and it's directly opposed to the fake sun, the specific environment, and also what are her threats while not in violation of the law. She did that this morning while you're looking at the fake sunset, the fake sunrise, and she drives off. I'm being nice, you have 2 minutes. She drives away as I begin recording. She gets on my video, again, aware of the fact that I documented the fact that she drove off while I was recording. So these demons that are stalking, obviously stalking, and engage in what are making threats while you're the criminal, and doing so with regard to a pattern of seeking to obstruct justice, and is not a distraction from prosecuting co-conspirators of murder, the people of the state, license 9 Sam Mary Nancy 256, and the entities engaging in that while they are in that specific environment. So it is nothing other than the criminal pattern of conduct. The entity is doing so while they're keeping the evidence about them targeting me under surveillance. The entity is doing so in the video where I'm reminding you that the fake sun is outside of the Ontario Airport Inn window at 1801 East G Street at 9:56 a.m. where it remained. Remember, I checked out on I checked out later that same day, November 30th, and the entity has the fake sun over me on Omnitrans, which is gang stalking in this video as well, while I'm at Euclid Avenue, the Route 83 bus, and I'm on Route 61 where employee 3603 is monitoring me under the fake sun in concert with the city of Ontario, okay? This is the bigger picture. Now, analyzing what it is that she stated, she's in use of her device, taking pictures of me being on the bus bench, using your body cam while I'm on the bus bench, taking pictures of me while I'm standing on the sidewalk in front of the bus bench. This is the entity that is taking images and using devices and maintaining paperwork of me documenting their criminal activity, and that's what it remains. It is the entity that is engaged in what is criminal activity, and they remain in that position, and they are under no circumstances gathering any information that is speaking to any authority that they have while they remain the criminal on the wrong side of the law. Repeatedly engaged in what is threatening to kidnap after committing a series of kidnapping upon what is malicious assertions, like the city is complaining about me being on the bus bench, and I'm not even on the bus bench. I'm standing on the sidewalk when she's encountering me. And Omnitrans is not impeded at all from stopping at the bus stop. The people of the state are gang stalking by sitting at the bus stop. I've documented the Ontario police gang stalking me 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, while the people of the state are obsessively stalking, sitting by me on the bus bench. The entities engaging in what is targeting and doing so because of my location, because of where I'm at, they have to go out of their way to harass and threaten when they don't have any basis in the alternate universe that they operate in, where they are engaged in criminal surveillance, masquerading as having authority under the law as law enforcement. The entity is doing so, you're listened to, and you can see. The previous video, stalking by helicopter. And she is jumping in front of that camera. This is the entity that is not saving anyone. Tracy Banks is not going to prison by herself. Tracy Banks is gang stalking with all of the people of the state. Millions of people that are conspiring my murder. Understand that this is a statewide pattern of conduct. Tracy Banks, the city of Ontario, is targeting me with the city of Rialto. The city of Ontario is gang stalking me with the city of Pomona. The city of Ontario is gang stalking me with the city of Walnut. The city of Ontario is gang stalking me with the city of West Covina. The city of Ontario is gang stalking me with the city of San Diego, with the county of San Diego, with the county of Los Angeles and the city of Los Angeles. The city of Ontario is gang stalking me with Kern County, Bakersfield, California. The entity is not under any circumstances removing the focus, and they are not helping the people. It's impossible to. The pattern of conduct, the foundation is already laid. That's not the sun, and everything that you're stating is pursuant to criminal monitoring with knowledge of the fact that it's being documented. That is speaking to a serious psychopath who is obsessed with that which they will not secretly accomplish. You're not going to murder me, and you're not going to avoid federal prison, and they're threatening kidnapping based on the evidence that I have, and the people of the state are going to prison. The people of the state are threatening with that agency. The people of the state are threatening me with kidnapping in concert with the Ontario police while I document them as the co-conspirators of my murder that they are. They are engaged in gang stalking in furtherance of the failed contract to murder me through gang stalking, which they are engaged in. License Henry David 175, handicap plate. They are engaged in gang stalking as the OVITT Family Community Library, a failed contract to accomplish murder via gang stalking, which the OVITT Family Community Library is engaged in. And the entire population is threatening while Jay Sandoval is repeating a threat to commit kidnapping. And it's been well over 5 minutes since she's on video engaging in that blatant act of terrorism as the terrorist organization, and as Jay Sandoval herself, who is subject to federal prison, gang stalking me while representing a corrupt police department. The entity is engaging in this while the population is vocalizing that threat. They're vocalizing that threat while they're being documented, and they are going to prison. Everybody sharing in criminal summoning, everybody sharing in kidnapping is threatening, and that's relevant to more time in federal prison. You are not going to engage in terrorism. You're not going to avoid it. You're not going to engage in terrorism as an airport and then threaten me with prison while the gang stalkers that lead in this criminal system of murder and kidnapping, the police, that's why Mike LORENZ is going to prison. That's why he's going to prison, because that's how the entity threatens you. That's the whole operation of that system. 7G TJ615 is threatening my life and threatening to kidnap me with the agency that is stalking with the Ontario airport right now. And you saw them dipping and diving and cartwheeling using planes, stalking where there is no airport anywhere close over here. None of the terminals call for the cartwheels. None of the terminals call for the low elevation. None of the plane activity calls for the cartwheels. None of the plane activity from the terminals call for the low elevation, as though you're landing somewhere and then you're going to drive on the wheels of the plane to Terminal 2 or 4 when it is south of Hope Boulevard. They are blatantly stalking, and then those delusional psychopaths vocalize a threat to engage in a kidnapping because of the body of evidence. And it is not going to help the people of the state. You're going to prison for longer. Daisy, that aided in what is kidnapping on June 16, 2022. All of the employees, Natasha was kidnapping. Gregory was there kidnapping. The entity that's engaged in criminal summoning, Mickey and Alexander. The entity that's engaging in that, Brianna. All of the Talia, these demons that engage in kidnapping, Alex, they're threatening together while I'm documenting them. Threatening through the entity that is the Ontario Police Department that doesn't have any authority under the law. Moreover, she's targeting me while I'm standing on the sidewalk in use of my device, and she's taking pictures, which is proof of her, well, she's in use of her device, presumably capturing and documenting me while she's engaged in criminal activity. Okay, so any body cam footage, you're stalking me. Engaging in battery, the entity is engaging what is battery through the Ontario Police while you're stalking me. The entity is relying on kidnapping by the agency in order to obstruct justice while you're stalking me. 7MUV381, co-conspirator of murder, threatening to kidnap me repeatedly today while I document them as the entity stalking in furtherance of murder. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging in that. They speak as one, they act as one, they are monitoring together, and they murder together. When the entity is engaged in criminal summoning in Los Angeles, a proven terrorist, the Los Angeles Police Department, they're gang stalking under a fake sun. That's what they did to me at Alvarado Gardens. Sunrise and sunset inside of the same apartment. Sunrise and sunset at the same office, 1810 North Alvarado Street in Los Angeles, 91206. So the entity is engaging in this, and the entity is targeting by stalking me at work and at my apartment by helicopter, day and night. Flying in circles over my apartment, flying in circles over my head, flying in circles all around the venue where I was employed by Speaker Companies Incorporated. The entities engaged in criminal summoning, when they're sounding their sirens and they're monitoring, they're engaged in surveillance. So that's not the ignorance of who you are and where you're at. That's specific knowledge about who you are and where you're at. And they're committing premeditated murder while they run over the people that stayed in the middle of the street. And the people that stayed 8 Victor Charlie Wendy 639, they're also monitoring while those demons sound those sirens in that specific environment. It is murder as an entity. It is kidnapping as an entity. It is a vocalized threat repeatedly twice today to engage in kidnapping as an entity that is hostile to the evidence. And they are going to lose custody of their children. This is why they commit criminal acts and more acts of terrorism, because you're losing custody of the children that you have sex with, that you engage in gang stalking with, that you present and keep in threatening and chaotic and dangerous environments, that you engage in and commit acts of violence in their presence, teaching them to do the same. And then you're going to threaten to kidnap me while you're still gang stalking at the same time. They are absolutely losing custody of their children. And this documented threat by that demon-possessed population that is still conspiring my murder by gang stalking with that agency that is jumping in front of the camera, stalking by helicopter, and stalking by Jay Sandoval, who is targeting me at a bus stop while I am sitting on while I'm on the bench this morning, and also while I'm standing on the sidewalk at the same bus stop under the fake sun with the people of the state that you see stalking with impossible light. They are literally monitoring and vocalizing these threats while they are witnessing their evidence against them, which is no answer. This is why they are going to be dealt with martial law. This is why they're being deported. This is why you're taking the demon-possessed children away from them, who are not only a threat to national security because of the households that they are a part of and the government system that they're a part of, but because the entity is contributing to the delinquency of minors who are trained to engage in this, and they are made a part of it. This is why. Not only that, they're going to be placed in federal prison for gang stalking with minors. They're going to federal prison. That is, the people of the state are going to federal prison. Every kidnapper is communicating a threat today. As I refer, remember, I'm not just documenting. I remind you about what else they're doing. The other places where they kidnap, the other places where they gang stalk me, such as at Ontario Airport Inn, such as at Starbucks, where they committed kidnapping. Starbucks, Ocean employee, and all the rest of those employees are going to federal prison. They're getting more time while they are threatening me as an entity with the intent to obstruct justice. And they have to come around and harass and target me where you don't even have anything to be, well, you don't have anything at all, understand? This is targeting. If I were a drug dealer, in other words, and the entity is engaged in surveillance, so you're not engaged in police work. It's not law enforcement when the entity is targeting me, and you know that I'm a drug dealer. So you are surveilling the whole time. You wait until I engage in what is some sort of drug transaction with the people of the state. I have the drugs on me, and then you engage in criminal summoning and engage in what is a detention on the side of the road so that you can seize those drugs and pin me with a criminal case. But that's not law enforcement. That's criminal surveillance. I'm not even a criminal, so they have to come to the bus bench where I'm standing and where I'm on the bench, not violating the law, moreover, and I'm also not violating the law while you're targeting me under all circumstances. You remain the criminal and you don't have authority. They're doing this with desperate acts to threaten and harass. They've already committed kidnapping before. Okay, while there is absolutely no law broken, they literally kidnapped. That is Joseph Valencia. You have what is Officer Durham, and you have this demon Vivanco, who committed kidnapping on September 28th, based on the entity stating all they said was, we got a call that you were harassing somebody. That's all that they relied on. And then I documented, you hear me screaming at the top of my lungs while they commit a violent battery, assault and battery. They stood around me. These are demons who are psychopaths, monitoring my vagina day in and day out, gang stalking with the people of the state. They lie, said I'm harassing someone, and I documented the entire day. Again, absolutely no conversation with anyone while I'm walking around documenting on my podcast like I was last night. So all you had to do was add in last night the entity engaged in criminal summoning, pulling up on me and stating, we got a call that you tried to rob somebody's vehicle. It didn't happen, but the entity engages in what is a battery and then kidnapping. That's all you needed to add to last night while the entity is stalking by helicopter. Okay, this is the P.O.C. You're listening to Omnitrans Gang Stalking. This is the entity that's engaged in that, and while I'm sitting on the bus bench, I'm in the same status as anybody else that's sitting on the bus bench. The reason why the entity is targeting and threatening to commit criminal activity is because I'm documenting. Omnitrans Employee 3603 is proving the fact that this demon operating Route 83, Bus 1212, at what is 10:36 a.m. under the fake sun is gang stalking, and they're sharing in mental illness while this business is engaged in that state surveillance system. They're monitoring pacing with two old biddies who are under the fake sun. Omnitrans is creating impossible light activity, ongoing impossible light activity and stalking, and the fake sun remains stationary. License 1613618, while the fake sun remains here over me at the bus stop, contrary to what employee 3603 is doing on November 30th, when that fake sun remains in the window and I'm being molested with impossible light, and they are gang stalking me with the Ontario Police Department, just like they were, as I documented on video, as they are vocalizing a threat together. Omnitrans is threatening to engage in kidnapping. Employee 3603 speaking through the demon Jay Sandoval. The entity is gang stalking you. License 9SMN256, that is gang stalking me in the same pattern of conduct, is threatening me through Jay Sandoval and through that Ontario Police Department. Threatening me while they're stalking by helicopter. Threatening me all together while they engaged in what is terrorism that I documented for over an hour. That's the entity that's engaging in that while they're going to prison for it. This is how that gang stalking system works. This is also why Derek Williams and Michael Lorenz are going to federal prison, in addition to demons such as Jay Sandoval and the demons that engage in kidnapping. Okay, the kidnappers of the Ontario Police Department are documented as of 2025 on for the latest kidnappings, but the entities engaged in what is kidnapping since 2019, where Jonathan Burnett and Sequoia Payton committed kidnapping as an agency with Tracy Banks, and the demon possessed at Woodside Senior Apartments. That's just at the venue. The entire state is monitoring me. The government is engaging in kidnappings repeatedly. It is the government's criminal objective to defame my character, to keep me kidnapped in a kidnapped state, and to do so with the intent also to steal from me. So the entity is also in the same way. When I document 7NLR660, the Ontario Police Department, a terrorist organization, is threatening me on behalf of those demons that I am documenting, not just that license plate, not just that neighborhood, not just that venue, but that entire state is threatening together while they're gang stalking as one, okay? And that's what's relevant. Jay Sandoval speaking as the state to engage in, to commit a kidnapping, while she is a whole psychopath, a feces consumer under a fake sun, jumping in front of the camera to do that. She's going to prison, and so are all the people of the state, including Abigail at the OVITT Family Community Library. Abigail is threatening to commit kidnapping in the same way that Abigail is gang stalking with the Ontario Police, and it's already documented on the record. That's why the fake sun is over me at the bus stop and not the natural environment over that entry of the OVITT Family Community Library, where I have Abigail surrounded with evidence that she's targeting me, because it's over me while I'm walking into that entrance every other day at 10 a.m., where that same agency communicating a threat to kidnap through Jay Sandoval is threatening to commit that kidnapping while I am at a distinct location where the sun is not possibly mutually, meaning there's more than one then if that's the case, and it's not the case. This is the entity that is targeting, including while they're targeting with the threat to commit criminal activity. It's been well over 5 minutes. That was audible activity, and the substance of this entity's audible activity is a threat to commit kidnapping, and this is because they're losing custody of their gang stalking, demon-possessed, mentally ill children. And this is because they are being deported as gang stalking immigrants. They threaten to commit kidnapping because they are going to be prosecuted with regard to martial law and with regard to what is being terrorists in the United States, enemies of this country. You're looking at the evidence as to why they're enemies. They threaten you through the gang stalking police who are exposed as terrorist leaders. Mike Lorenz is going to prison. And every other gang stalker, Jason Reed of the Montclair Police Department, that is a terrorist leader. Robert Luna of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department is a terrorist leader. Dominic Choi, and before him, Michael Moore, and the current one now are terrorist leaders over the Los Angeles Police Department. Michael Moore targeting me, Dominic Choi targeting me, and the current demon, they call themselves chief of police, but they're terrorist leaders, and they're engaged in targeting as an entity. When I'm in Los Angeles, that terrorist leader is facilitating the conspiracy to commit murder, keeping me under surveillance throughout the city of Los Angeles, the county of Los Angeles, in furtherance of that ultimate objective by the entire state of California. And Jay Sandoval is communicating a threat while I am standing on the sidewalk, and she is in use of her device engaged in federal stalking, doing so threatening both expressly and impliedly with the intent to obstruct justice on behalf of these co-conspirators of murder, including license plate 8UYX077, and the mentally ill psychopaths, the employees of the municipality, stalking with light, with flashing light all over the place. 20187 Bob 4, co-conspirator of murder. The Ontario International Airport, Alan D. Wapner, co-conspirator of murder. Julia Gu, co-conspirator of murder. Ronald Loveridge is his name. Co-conspirator of murder. Jim Bowman, co-conspirator of murder. Kurt Hagman, co-conspirator of murder. Otif El Qadi, the so-called chief executive officer, he is not any CEO. He's not on an Ontario executive team. That's a deceptive misnomer. He's a domestic terrorist, and he is a co-conspirator of my murder. And the Ontario International Airport, Southwest Airlines, co-conspirator of murder. UPS, co-conspirator of murder. Delta Airlines, co-conspirator of murder. American Airlines, Frontier Airlines, Alaska Airlines, all documented gang stalkers, co-conspirators of murder, of my murder. And they are all sharing in that communicated threat to commit kidnapping while I'm on the sidewalk on the bus bench at 537 North Euclid Avenue, and doing so with the intent to obstruct justice. This is serving to enhance what is the documented acts of terrorism by that entity. Abigail, that's going to federal prison for criminal summoning and kidnapping at the Ovitt Family Community Library, is going to be prosecuted for threatening to commit kidnapping in concert with Jay Sandoval with the intent to obstruct justice. Okay? P.O.C. 8JTK, gang stalking while the entity is engaging in cartwheels under the fake sun. Okay? 8JTK 151 parks with simultaneity to the entity stalking as an airport. These are the co-conspirators of murder. They are mentally ill, absurdly mentally ill, engaging in cartwheels where there's no property of the airport. The Terminals 2 and Terminal 4 are south. They're south of Holt Boulevard, and this demon's engaging what is stalking under the fake sun, going on and going into a facilitating venue. The demons that are stalking with impossible light activity, doing so in concert with the government, doing so while the entity is stalking by helicopter as well. This is what the city of Ontario is doing, stalking in the past, while they are simultaneously targeting on what is Euclid Avenue. The Terminals 2 and 4, where I've also shown at the Ontario International Airport, is stalking while the entity keeps the fake sun over me through the bus windows of Omnitrans. That does not have that as the case. They're targeting aboard Omnitrans, which employee 3603 demonstrates, and every other demon operating those buses in concert with the population that includes the severely mentally ill, gang stalking, co-conspirators of murder, every airlines associated with the Ontario International Airport. Stalking in the path, in concert with the people of the state who are stalking in the path, under the fake sun that's over me at 12:01 p.m. at the same venue, where this entity is targeting at the same address, 537 North Euclid Avenue, after 6 p.m. And this is where the entity is keeping the fake sun over me while I'm at the Ontario Airport Inn, which I just documented in the previous video, where Jay Sandoval is stalking in the path, monitoring with every other co-conspirator of murder. City of Ontario, 9PKD 859, co-conspirator of murder. 7PIF 209, co-conspirator of murder. This is psychopathic pacing, one demon after another. License 8FYD 299, co-conspirator of murder. And they engage in what is sharing and threatening to commit kidnapping today while I'm standing on the sidewalk. And this demon's in use of her communication device, this demon being Jay Sandoval, which you'll see in the previous video. Demons monitoring together under the fake sun. The fake sun that is not, by the way, over at the Ovitt Family Community Library, where they're engaging, and I documented Ovitt Family Community Library, all of the employees sharing in what is kidnapping and targeting, while they, as a population, and also an immigrant population, who are going to be deported. This look appear perhaps a Vietnamese female going in and out, pacing an engineer light, monitoring with the government, and that is, again, if you're not a natural born citizen, then you're going to be deported. And she's gang stalking in furtherance of murder. Doing so with the entity that is in custody of children that they're losing custody of. And this population engaged in what is threatening to commit kidnapping today through Jay Sandoval, through the Ontario Police Department, with the intent to obstruct justice. And this is relevant to the ways in which you're going to prosecute the domestic terrorists, the people of the state, the mentally ill population. License 9BHC201. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:45 a.m. Alrighty, I captured that video. The entities engage in psychopathic conduct. It literally makes them feel better to stalk in commercial planes while they are going to federal prison for it. It makes them feel better to vocalize threats regarding the absence of any criminal activity on my part, and them already proven to be targeting, while the entity is anticipating what is criminal prosecutions and willing to go to federal prison. Jay Sandoval is a psychopath. She's a demon-possessed feces consumer, and she is absolutely willing to go to federal prison, vocalizing a threat on behalf of the thousands of people throughout the city of Ontario who are co-conspiring my murder with that agency and with her. Okay, that is an impermissible threat. It's an unprecedented threat, and it's an unlawful threat to commit criminal activity with the intent to obstruct justice while they're gang stalking, which I'm documenting on video in real time. 8NPF 678. And the Ontario International Airport, which you see on video, has been engaged in targeting at this same venue under a fake sun that is sitting at the same location that you see on video this morning. That was during the 7 a.m. hour, 8 a.m. hour. You have the demons that are gang stalking at 9 o'clock, L. Edwards. The demons that are gang stalking, D. Rodriguez, C. Gerber and A. Ornelas, doing so under this fake sun that remains here at the same bus stop where that airport and every gang-stalking airline are co-conspirators of my murder, vocalizing a unified threat to commit kidnapping. And it's been well over 5 minutes, and Jay Sandoval has not returned with regard to what is threatening me on video. Very foolish, but she is not threatening alone. She's going to prison for it. She's threatening through the thousands of people that are gang-stalking with her. And AGDF 636 is a domestic enemy who engages in what is conspiring the murder of American citizens and then threatening their liberty as an act of terrorism with the intent to obstruct justice. These are the enemies of the state. They're losing custody of their children. They are in this need of what is martial law, prosecution under martial law, treatment as a lawless population engaging in such acts of terrorism as I'm showing you, and they're also in need of what is deportation. The thousands of people that are conspiring murder together with the Ontario Police Department in the city of Ontario. These are the mentally ill at nightfall molesting my breast and vaginal area with impossible light activity, which is not going to occur from their headlights. And during the day, while HUSE YTN is in custody of minor children that she is a threat to, a feces consumer that is engaged in what is gang stalking under a fake sun with minor children that she makes a part of that terrorism. They're losing custody while she is threatening my liberty today. Gang stalking, communicating that threat through the demon that you heard on video repeated twice today, Jay Sandoval, P.O.C., okay? It is currently 10:47 a.m. This is the pattern of conduct. The entity that communicated the threat, they're gang stalking at the OVITT Family Community Library. Abigail, Myra, Alan, Alexander, Taylor, all those demons communicated a threat to commit kidnapping, and they're going to prison for kidnapping. They communicated a threat while they're gang stalking. They are speaking as one. They are acting as one. They are conspiring murder together as one. This is a system. The state of California communicated a threat in the same way that the state of California is being documented engaged in what is a series of kidnappings, trying to silence me. License plate 12903 Victor 1. No earthquake, by the way, while they're gang stalking and I'm awake and I'm looking at him. 7 Edward, Indiana, Robert 525. Co-conspirator of murder, 8DKG 398, co-conspirator of murder. City of Ontario, demon psychopathic pacing using the municipality vehicles, co-conspirators of murder. Paul Leon is a co-conspirator of murder and facilitates that throughout the city while the municipality is gang stalking me and communicating a threat to my liberty while I document the gang stalking mayor, a co-conspirator of my murder. He is not remaining in office. And he is threatening me unlawfully. He is losing his position based on the series of federal offenses as a domestic terrorist and shown to not be a mayor but an enemy of this country, threatening the liberty of an American citizen who documents him accordingly. 9NVY259. This is P.O.C. It's 10:48 a.m. This is speaking to the unlawful threat. This is speaking to the unprecedented threat. This is speaking to a threat to national security. This is not just about me. I'm letting you know what psychopaths do in secret to people. They murder them and kidnap them, drug them, steal from them, steal their identity, rape them, traffic them, violate them. These are monsters, and they're demon-possessed criminals. License 7XYJ407. They are absolutely going to lose custody of their children that they are contributing to the delinquency of, training them to be terrorists, training them to be predators, training them to be monsters just like their demon-possessed gang-stalking parents and the gang-stalking government who surmises that it is prudent to threaten me through stalking me with helicopters and stalking and threatening me with kidnapping while you are engaged in what is the criminal activity. You're the one on the wrong side of the law. This is the entity that's engaging in that. Indian kidnappings, the entity is going to prison. You're not going to prison for 6 months. You're not going to prison for 12 hours. You're going to prison and you're not getting out. Just want to be clear, it's terrorism. This is domestic terrorism. Kidnapping upon domestic terrorism, you're getting serious time in prison and you want to threaten kidnapping with the intent to obstruct justice. That's the entity of terrorists that are going to be prosecuted accordingly. Jay Sandoval voicing that threat. License plate YILONMA, co-conspirator of murder. Every airline is engaged in what is co-conspiracy to murder me, and so is the Ontario International Airport. But every airline company, just like Starbucks, the company is, just like OVITT Family Community Library, the Ontario, that's the city of Ontario again as well, just like the Omnitrans bus line, just like the entity that is Ontario Airport Inn, just like Ramada by Wyndham, just like the Bucket, Crab, and Crawfish, El Pescador, just like Woodside Senior Apartments, Aveneth Capital Management, just like Speaker Companies Incorporated, Alvarado Gardens, okay? The entities engaging in every company, every gang stalking company. Ryder likes to cross paths. Ryder is a violent sex offender, a demented one. The company and the demons operating those commercial vehicles. They are a co-conspirator of murder. And they like to exhibit that and show you that, all the world that is listening, by gang stalking and doing so in real time as an act of hostility. Like the co-conspirators of murder, every airline company that is stalking in the sky space as an act of hostility, which is psychopathic. That's how sick you are. Deep in the depths of your black hole of a soul, it makes you feel better to do a cartwheel stalking me when it's not even affecting me. It just makes the psychopath feel better. These are demons. And you're spending money. You're the one that's utilizing all those resources of the city. It's failed witchcraft, and it is a published failed sacrifice where the mentally ill have sacrificed themselves. Okay? That's the entity that's engaging in that kind of conduct. On City of Ontario gang stalking, vehicle 1115, license 1680789, and that's the same demon stalking at the same time, taking pictures of that. She's crossing path while the entity is stalking by helicopter under the fake sun. That's Jay Sandoval. Crossing path, gang stalking, listening to me, knew what I was doing then on video and knows what I'm doing now. Gang stalking on the roads and the highways. A psychopath that is bearing guns and threatening to commit a criminal act against you while wearing a police uniform is a domestic terrorist and an enemy of this country. And somebody that is vocalizing a threat by that entire entity. And she's going to prison for it, and the people of the state are going to prison for it as well. Understand, the gang stalking immigrants at Economy Inn, they're going to prison. They committed kidnapping with the Ontario Police September 25th, 2020. Nobody's forgotten about that. They vocalized a threat today to kidnap me while I'm documenting them as terrorists, as threat to the minor children that they maintain custody of right now. Okay? They're documenting, I'm documenting them communicating a threat to kidnap me while I am documenting them terrorizing me. It's not over because I'm not at Economy Inn anymore. This is a statewide pattern of conduct. That's why the pattern of conduct is underway while I'm at Economy Inn, where the Ontario police are stalking me inside of my hotel room. Stalking by helicopter inside of my hotel room. Stalking me with impossible light activity inside of my hotel room. Where these vagina monitors, co-conspirators of murder, including every airline, EH55J75, paper plate, co-conspirator of murder, keeping me under surveillance as sex offenders inside of that hotel room. And it's already on the record. The kidnappers of the OVITT Family Community Library, they vocalized a unified threat today. This is why I document. Oh, you're going to kidnap me. Understand that every previous kidnapper, every license plate, every neighborhood, every street address, everyone that I've documented, everyone's image that I've documented, they are threatening together. This is how they tell themselves, this is how this system operates. This is why they're going to prison, because this is not how this is going to, it's terrorism. Population is threatening to kidnap you while you document them targeting you, trying to murder you. This is a failed murder contract. And so you're going to threaten to kidnap me because I'm documenting, and I've already proven it. 8RDW063, threatening to commit kidnapping, a co-conspirator of my murder in doing so, with Jay Sandoval. Gang stalking me with Jay Sandoval and the entire Ontario Police Department, which represents the state of California. The demons in San Diego, the demons in Las Vegas, Nevada, the demons in Bakersfield, Kern County, which I documented stalking me by helicopter under the fake sun. All right? The entity is engaging in a vocalized unified threat. All of the body of evidence is speaking to all of that entity that is targeting while they are seeking to obstruct justice, and it's failed witchcraft. It's failed witchcraft. While she can't even keep her life straight, I'm documenting you every day. Oh, so when did I document you yesterday? When did I document you the day before yesterday? When did I document you last week? Okay? She's a liar, and so are the demon-possessed. These are the light slingers. These are the psychopaths dipping and diving and doing cartwheels in planes. They make up reality. They make up information. They make it up. And she thinks that she can do that on behalf of this population. Thousands of people conspiring my murder together. And then you vocalize that threat. That's why it's good that you heard that. These are the openly hostile enemies of the United States. Openly hostile. 9 Thomas, David Thomas 294, co-conspirator of murder, threatening to kidnap me today as an entity because I'm documenting the fact that he is monitoring and trying to kill me. License 9FXN256, and that's exactly what is the purpose of this gang stalking system, which is also already established, by the way. The Sunrise, where she vocalized, this entity vocalized that threat today on a speaker, which again, that sexually gratifies this psychopath 8YJR864. They all felt better, just like they feel better when they do a cartwheel stalking me in a commercial plane. They all felt better, they all loved it while they were monitoring to that verbal amplified threat. The Sunrise was at that time. It is 10:55 a.m. and the fake sun is still over me. While this population is moving all about, the sun's not moving. They're all sitting around worshiping me. They're all stalking, and they're all hostile regarding every word, every syllable that I utter. This is what they did last night for over an hour and a half while the Ontario Police, that same agency that threatened me today, is engaging with us threatening to commit a kidnapping. while they are the ones that are targeting me, and they never cease to be the criminal, ever. 9PBC227. This is the pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, I just want to document that. The entity is engaging in that conduct and is doing so while I am maintaining my ongoing investigation. And this is the entity that's doing so with the intent to obstruct justice. And for that, they are subject to federal prison. Loss of custody of the children that they are understand, you're gang stalking an American citizen. You're gang stalking an American citizen and further into murdering them. You're gang stalking an American citizen and further into murdering and sexually violating, stealing from, defrauding, and kidnapping an American citizen. And they have custody of children. What do you think the threat is with regard to those children that they remain in custody of? And that's what is gang stalking. People that actually are procreating at the same time while they're simultaneously engaging in this criminal system. And then they want to threaten you to kidnap you while they have kids and they don't want to be identified in part. Those are psychopaths that are a threat to minor children. License plate 98406L3. Just like you saw the entity that is engaged in what is assault with a deadly weapon, that African-American demon-possessed psychopath, co-conspirator of my murder, engaging with her minor children in the car, a little boy in the front seat and two little girls in the back seat, while they have their windows down, getting a front row seat to the psychopath parent that is in custody of them and is engaged in what is trying to run me over, repeatedly monitoring and doing so. In concert with these demons stalking with planes and helicopters and this demon-possessed population who were all monitoring to that. They were all monitoring to that absurdly psychotic episode that this demon had because her license plate was taken a picture, was captured. So what? Like I stated, they are a threat to themselves. They're a threat to the public as I'm exposing their criminal conduct and what they engage in response, which your criminal conduct is not responded to. Your criminal conduct mandates a federal prosecution. The terrorists engage in more terrorism. That's why they're losing custody of children that can't protect themselves. That can't help that they're born amongst a household of psychos and sex offenders and murderers and perverts. They can't help that. And they're also amongst a demon-possessed and corrupt population who is presenting harm and keeping them in such households, who threaten me while I challenge and expose you. You're going to prison still. This is what you need to witness. This is what they do. You're not resisting. You're going to prison. And the entity is nothing other than hostile. You're just hostile. That's it. That's synonymous with psycho. You're psycho. That's the over 1 hour of stalking in a helicopter. Then Jay Sandoval lying out of her fat face, talking about, I document you every day. No, you monitor me every day. You are very well acquainted with my vagina, that I don't want you as a homosexual predator keeping under surveillance. That's why you know my name off the bat. Under the fake sun, you're a delusional psychopath with a short-term memory. Everybody is aware of what you're doing as well. And everybody else that's aware of my documentation knows that I don't document you every day while you're sitting up listening to me and stalking like a weirdo that you are, with a whole population, thousands of people sharing in your obsession with me. That's Jay Sandoval communicating that unified threat. Monitoring with, again, Omnitrans, P.O.C. It is currently 10:59 a.m. That's the pattern of conduct. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct while maintaining an ongoing investigation about the unlawful threat that agency posed. And that entity poses impossible light along the driver's side of the bus. Yesterday, while I'm capturing the demon that is stalking at Omnitrans at 12:02 p.m., impossible light was along the passenger side of that bus. That light activity is never naturally happening under any circumstances. These are the details you're paying to while a business that is conspiring my murder is engaging in the pattern of conduct. That's bus number 2346 at what is 11 a.m. under the fake sun that is still not over the OVITT Family Community Library. Okay, the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct while they together maintain a unified threat. Omnitrans and everybody on that bus, Omnitrans, including the demon that got off of that bus, Omnitrans, are monitoring. Everybody in every building all around are maintaining relevant position while the fake sun is over me on this street. The same documentation that I have of the fake sun after 5 p.m. over me at this same address where the terrorist and co-conspirator of my murder, that is the Ontario International Airport and Southwest Airlines in particular, are stalking by flying over this Bethel Congregation Church while I'm showing you the fake sun in alignment to me still at that hour, at the same place, stalking as an airport, which gives them the feel goods while they're gang stalking, like stalking for over an hour in a helicopter. That gives the psychopath that makes them feel good. To communicate a threat to commit kidnapping, You're going to prison for that. So are demons like 8EMN096 who are sharing in that. You're going to be prosecuted all the ways in which you've been documented, engaging in what is criminal conduct, terrorism that mandates prison, kidnapping, criminal summoning, criminal defamation, engaging in what is physical violence upon gang stalking. So you're the government that's engaging in what is conspiring my murder, and then you put your hands on me, just like the Chucky doll at the Ontario Veterinary Hospital. She's going to prison while Jay Sandoval is threatening me through as an entity in concert with that demon. That demon that engaged in a battery on behalf of that agency is threatening to commit kidnapping via Jay Sandoval, via the agency. That agency, this entity, engaged in physical violence through that Chucky doll that put her hands on me because her license plate was documented. These are the demons that are losing custody of their children. Terrorists are unfit, and they are a threat to minor children. Sex offenders, the perpetual sex offender, a demon-possessed psychopath, a co-conspirator of murder as an entity is an unfit parental figure, a threat, a danger to minor children. Absolutely, and they will be losing custody, and the entity threatening to kidnap me because of that policy, it's noted when you lose custody. It's criminal conduct that you're engaged in, and you're going to answer for it in court. License plate, 5JIR515. You are acting and speaking as an entity, and it will be relevant to what are your failed efforts to retrieve and have custody of children, be alone with them, while you want to threaten somebody that you're gang stalking, that you're engaging in terrorizing, and then you're going to threaten to kidnap that person. Understand what you all communicated today. And those of you that have an interest in maintaining custody of minor children because you lost that. You lost it, and then you want to engage in further acts of terrorism because of the fact of what you chose to do, which is gang stalk an American citizen, who, moreover, is documenting it. Every gang stalking airline is sharing in that threat. That's relevant to the harms that I suffer. That's relevant to the civil and criminal prosecutions, the federal RICO case, the criminal acts, the criminal threats communicated by those commercial actors and by the government while you are threatening to engage in that criminal act against me because of my investigation, because I am enforcing my rights, while you are remaining the criminal, speaking through the terrorist organization, the Ontario Police Department. P.O.C. 8VPD 986. P.O.C. It is currently 11:03 a.m. All right, license plate 9 Sam Thomas Apple 351. This is surveillance while you're stopping at a stop sign, and they literally, there's nobody stopping them. They're monitoring. So is the demon. Ad was the Hensley Torta, looks like a female. This is surveillance in the path. They're accomplishing stalking with light by the fake sun. This is not sunlight over everything, and they're maintaining presence in the path. It's the same thing at a red light. The government's controlling the lights. It's a means of surveillance. These are black-faced demons. 9BOR789, gang stalking with law enforcement, by the way. That's on the surface. And they talk about Black Lives Matter while they're oppressed by law enforcement. Actually, these are demons that are engaged in criminal surveillance, and they use race as a divisive distraction regarding criminal surveillance that they are all of all races sharing in with gang stalkers that are masquerading as police departments. Black lives do not matter to the demon-possessed who are of the black race. Ask Tracy Banks. Okay? You don't have to ask her because actually she's a liar, but the evidence of her gang stalking another black person is, that speaks volumes enough. That speaks volumes enough. And the same with Eric Corey Spencer. The entities engaged in this pattern of conduct, and it is currently 11:04 a.m. I documented the Ontario International Airport gang stalking this morning. Remember everything that's involved in that video that I captured where the entity is stalking plane after plane, 7:12 a.m. Okay, there's no airport even closer. There's no airport east of the Chevron. There's no airport east of Lemon Avenue over here. The airport is south of Hope Boulevard. This is F-E-D-C-B and then Hope Boulevard. And Hope Boulevard and the airport is at what is off of Vineyard and Airport Drive. And Terminal 2 and Terminal 4 are not at that intersection. The entity is stalking. You know that because when I'm at what is 111 North Vineyard Avenue, the entity is acting like Southwest Airlines, UPS are acting like they're taking off there. So what are you doing? Doing the cartwheels behind the tree, flying at a heightened elevation here, and also hovering like you're dipping and diving behind the Chevron while the entity is engaged in what is all vacillating many manners of elevation, and also the same airport, which is nowhere near here. None of it. And they do that, by the way, while they have been outmaneuvered intellectually. And so what do idiots do that are embarrassed? They'll just engage in more of it while they're blatantly admitting to stalking, which I'm going to use in federal court. Okay? The entity vocalized the unified threat today through Jay Sandoval to commit a kidnapping. They do so while federal policies such as deportation, such as loss of custody of minor children that the people of the state are in custody of. The entity that is engaged in gang stalking is unfit, mentally unfit. And they are also unfit with regard to the danger that they pose to themselves and minor children, whom they include in the system of terrorism, the violent sex offense of federal group stalking and monitoring. Jay Sandoval and the Ontario Police Department are threatening on behalf of an entity that is documented, and they are communicating that threat as one voice, in the same way that they are gang stalking together under the one fake sun that's over me. It is not just the City of Ontario that's vocalizing that threat. The City of Ontario, the Ontario Police Department, Jay Sandoval, voiced that threat expressly and impliedly on behalf of the entire entity. San Diego County's gang stalking. San Diego County is threatening a kidnapping today with Jay Sandoval. The demons at the OVITT Family Community Library, who are going to federal prison for systematically gang stalking me and for kidnapping, with that agency vocalizing a threat today while they are being documented. You're not going to engage in terrorism and then also threaten to engage in what is committing a kidnapping. That is more criminal conduct. They are absolutely unfit to remain in custody of minor children, whom they include in the system of terrorism. They contribute to the delinquency of these minors. These minors that are brought up in chaotic, dangerous, violent environments where they're engaging in what is this system of sexually violent and deranged patterns designed to surveil somebody and violate their privacy, sexually, physically violent against them, and threatening criminal conduct because you are a hostile terrorist who is subject to deportation, moreover, if you're not a natural-born citizen. This is the P.O.C. Jay Sandoval speaking as one entity that is gang stalking. They're all stalking behind the red light that the government is controlling while they're listening to me litigate and prosecute them. They will be subject to what is a more intensified federal prosecution for threatening me while I'm on the sidewalk and I'm documenting. It doesn't matter if I was inside of a hotel room or if I'm standing on it doesn't matter where I'm at. In other words, the entity remains the criminal, engaged in criminal monitoring, and they communicated a unified threat through the demon, Jay Sandoval, and the people of the state, the terrorists, are going to be prosecuted for it. It's relevant to deportation. It's relevant to a deep separation of gang stalking families that have custody of their children. You want to resort to more terrorism. While you are a terrorist that is being documented, you're going to be subject to what is more enhanced federal prosecution tactics. This is the P.O.C. This is relevant to also the federal RICO case, the government, every gang stalking airline, the gang stalking departments of the government that are engaging what is threatening to kidnap me through the Ontario Police Department with the intent to obstruct justice. They're all under a fake sun. They're all mentally ill. This fake sun is over me at 7 in the morning at this same bus stop while they're driving an engineer light and it's appearing on the side of their car and false light at me. They're all mentally ill. And they all vocalize the threat today to commit kidnapping because I'm exposing the fact that the mentally ill, demon-possessed terrorists in the state of California are unfit to be parents, that they are a threat to children, that they're gang stalking with, that they're engaged in vagina monitoring with, and that they are also a threat to the public and in need of deportation if you're not even a natural-born citizen. And you will be going to federal prison for kidnapping and criminal summoning and a threat to commit kidnapping with the intent to obstruct justice. P.O.C. It is currently 11:08 a.m. at 537 North Euclid Avenue, where this entity is obsessively stalking and monitoring and engaging what is a threat to commit kidnapping as an entity while they are monitoring the evidence. So I just want to be clear. Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. Starbucks is the venue where this fake sun is over that roof. I just wanted to see it because this is the entity. Starbucks is engaging in what is threatening to commit kidnapping today. Just to give you one example of how you're going to analyze the whole entity and all the criminal conduct that they've engaged in. Where that fake sun is over that roof at 6 p.m. This is what I documented during daylight savings time this summer. This is the fake sun that's over me on the same street. This is the entity that is unified. Speaking as one, stalking as one, monitoring as one, threatening as one, kidnapping as one as well. That's the pattern of conduct. The entity that's engaging in what is threatening me, it's going to be relevant to the federal charges that you're prosecuted for. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, I captured that video right now of Jay Sandoval, Ontario Police. Understand that last night the 1+ hours of stalking by helicopter is a threat as well, and I documented that. The entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct while they intend to obstruct justice because of the documentation. These are psychopaths. All right, this is the mentally ill that's engaged in that, and I want to make sure that it is clarified. This is revealing what is the delusional and failed witchcraft of demons. Understand that as well. And what has resulted is the entity has sacrificed itself. Now, and that sacrifice is going to manifest in many different ways, including the loss of physical life. Not because I practice witchcraft, but because the demon-possessed practice witchcraft. They murder people. In case you did not know, there are corrupt companies like Southwest Airlines that are engaging in the satanic system of sacrifice. That airline will stalk you and monitor you, psychologically torture you until you come to your demise. And they are a part of that murder. all right, while they make money simultaneously masquerading as a legitimate airlines that has no business flying over 537 North Euclid Avenue, nowhere near the airport. And I've shown that pattern of conduct of targeting with an entity that is also threatening while it's being proven and shown. And since they like to threaten and gang stalk and furtherance of murder, I'm going to prosecute civilly and criminally. Okay? Because that's what the entity is doing. The entity is engaging in this, and they're doing so while they are keeping the evidence under surveillance. And the mentally ill have engaged in what is sacrificing themselves, sacrificing their livelihood, sacrificing their businesses, sacrificing their like I said, natural life because of the entity that is engaged in what is the practice of witchcraft. This is failed witchcraft that does not have any spiritual potency or power. They're engaged in what is criminal conduct, which is being dutifully documented for a federal prosecution, which is not an illusion, contrary to the illusion of everything about their lives and their identities. Everything. This is the pattern of conduct. It's currently 11:11 a.m. The entity stalking by planes, as I refer to the fact that Southwest is a gang stalking airline that is engaged in what is the satanic sacrifice of American citizens while they are stalking American citizens in the way in which my documentation shows and reveals to you. They are an enemy of the country. They murder American citizens, just what UPS did in Kentucky. It's not an accident when you see the fake sunset, you see the engineer light that plane is crashing in. It's surveillance. Those are demons, and they're on assignment. 9 Frank Jerry Yolanda 140, a co-conspirator of murder, is engaged in what is threatening to kidnap me as an entity today with the intent to obstruct justice because of my documentation and all the ways in which federal prosecution martial law is going to deal with the terrorist population that is gang stalking in the city of Ontario and the state of California. License 9BSU719, and it's not limited to California, by the way, because the entity is gang stalking me as I show in Nevada. Just want to be clear on that. I went to Nevada, showed you that the pattern of conduct that this demon, Jay Sandoval, the Ontario Police Department, are targeting as a pattern of conduct by the United States government. State to state, criminal surveillance, ceaseless. These domestic terrorists are by the millions, and they are conspiring my murder together. And they utilize demons like Jay Sandoval to communicate a threat to commit kidnapping. 8SLW676 shares in that. J301Y0 shares in that. P.O.C. It is currently 11:13 a.m. under the fake sun at 537 North Euclid Avenue, where the fake sun remains, where the airport has been targeting, and the people of the state have been targeting. Whilst not only with impossible light, not only the fake sun, these are the threats to minor children. It makes them feel better to commit sexual violence like they are doing, stalking and molesting my body with impossible light while they're stalking as hostile and dangerous custodial parents that are a threat to those children that they remain in custody of, and that's exactly what's going to be challenged and brought up in the prosecution of domestic terrorists such as the people of the state. That's exactly what's going to be challenged. That's exactly what you're sacrificing when you are prosecuted as a terrorist. License 9JNZ 918, co-conspirator of murder. 4NFB 319, co-conspirator of murder. 9GPA 272, 9JLU 292, co-conspirators of murder, stalking with impossible light while they're driving under the fake sun, just like they are at night when it's not their headlights, shooting to the passenger side of their vehicle along this wall. They're doing the same thing with the under the fake sun that's over me, and it's not sunlight during the day either. It's the same pattern of conduct, however, and they're all stalking. They're all conspiring murder together, and they all threaten together. 808 Thomas. That's a red, white, and blue license plate of an un-American gang stalker engaged in the conspiracy to murder me. License plate 9R3SL. That is a California plate, and those are potential immigrants, but the entire population is going to be sliced up. So the analysis is that the entity is engaged in terrorism. Immigrants are going to be dealt with. Gang stalking so-called parents are going to be dealt with. Gang stalking so-called police officers are going to be dealt with. Gang stalking so-called mayors are going to be dealt with. Okay, gang stalking fake friends and family, they're going to be dealt with. You're going to prison. Just want to let you know that. You're going to prison. Gang stalking acts of violence, you're going to prison. Gang stalkers engaged in criminal summoning, engaged in kidnapping, you're going to prison. All right, you're engaged in fictitious exercise of authority in a courtroom where the entity is monitoring, you're going to prison. License 9LWJ715, 54645 Victor 3. License 8 Mary Sam Robert 272. License 5FRG 996. License 47549 Victor 3. All of them conspiring murder together. 8SWK 686. 9NYZ 543. Co-conspirators of murder, and so is license 9SMN 256. Prolonged surveillance at the facilitating venues of adjacent over here, the Vietnam and the Enterprise, gang stalking facilitating venues engaged in the pattern of conduct. And any Vietnamese Americans that are not natural born citizens are going to be deported. Okay? P.O.C. It is currently 11:15 a.m. right, license plate 9 Sam Thomas Apple 351. This is surveillance while you're stopping at a stop sign, and they literally, there's nobody stopping them. They're monitoring. So is the demon. Ad was the Hensley Torta. Looks like a female. This is surveillance in the path. They're accomplishing stalking with light by the fake sun. This is not sunlight over everything, and they're maintaining presence in the path. It's the same thing at a red light. The government's controlling the lights. It's a means of surveillance. These are black-faced demons. 9 BOR 789, gang stalking with law enforcement, by the way. That's on the surface. And they talk about Black Lives Matter while they're oppressed by law enforcement. Actually, these are demons that are engaged in criminal surveillance, and they use race as a divisive distraction regarding criminal surveillance that they are all of all races sharing in with gang stalkers that are masquerading as police departments. Black lives do not matter to the demon-possessed who are of the black race. Ask Tracy Banks. Okay, you don't have to ask her because actually she's a liar, but the evidence of her gang stalking another black person is that speaks volumes enough. That speaks volumes enough. It's the same with Eric Corey Spencer. This pattern of conduct, and it is currently 11:04 a.m. I documented the Ontario International Airport gang stalking this morning. Remember everything that's involved in that video that I captured, where the entity is stalking plane after plane. 7:12 a.m. Okay, there's no airport even closer. There's no airport east of the Chevron. There's no airport east of Lemon Avenue over here. The airport is south of Hope Boulevard. This is FEDC B and then Hope Boulevard. And Hope Boulevard and the airport is at what is off of Vineyard and Airport Drive. And Terminal 2 and Terminal 4 are not at that intersection. The entity is stalking. You know that because when I'm at what is 111 North Vineyard Avenue, the entity is acting like Southwest Airlines, UPS are acting like they're taking off there. So what are you doing? Doing the cartwheels behind the tree, flying at a heightened elevation here, and also hovering like you're dipping and diving behind the Chevron, while the entity is engaging what is all vacillating many manners of elevation, and also the same airport, which is nowhere near here. None of it. And they do that, by the way, while they have been outmaneuvered intellectually. And so what do idiots do that are embarrassed? They'll just engage in more of it while they're blatantly admitting to stalking, which I'm going to use in federal court. Okay, the entity vocalized the unified threat today through Jay Sandoval to commit a kidnapping. They do so while federal policies such as deportation, such as loss of custody of minor children that the people of the state are in custody of. The entity that is engaged in gang stalking is unfit, mentally unfit. And they are also unfit with regard to the danger that they pose to themselves and minor children, whom they include in the system of terrorism, the violent sex offense of federal group stalking and monitoring. Jay Sandoval and the Ontario Police Department are threatening on behalf of an entity that is documented, and they are communicating that threat as one voice, in the same way that they are gang stalking together under the one fake sun that's over me. It is not just the City of Ontario that's vocalizing that threat. The City of Ontario, the Ontario Police Department, Jay Sandoval voiced that threat expressly and impliedly on behalf of the entire entity. San Diego County is gang stalking. San Diego County is threatening a kidnapping today through Jay Sandoval. The demons at the OVITT Family Community Library who are going to federal prison for systematically gang stalking me and for kidnapping with that agency vocalizing a threat today while they are being documented. You're not going to engage in terrorism and then also threaten to engage in what is committing a kidnapping. That is more criminal conduct. They are absolutely unfit to remain in custody of minor children, whom they include in the system of terrorism. They contribute to the delinquency of these minors. These minors that are brought up in chaotic, dangerous, violent environments where they're engaging in what is this system of sexually violent and deranged patterns designed to surveil somebody and violate their privacy, sexually, physically violent against them, and threatening criminal conduct because you are a hostile terrorist who is subject to deportation, moreover, if you're not a natural-born citizen. This is the P.O.C. Jay Sandoval is speaking as one entity that is gang stalking. They're all stalking behind the red light that the government is controlling while they're listening to me litigate and prosecute them. They will be subject to what is a more intensified federal prosecution for threatening me while I'm on the sidewalk and I'm documenting. It doesn't matter if I was inside of a hotel room or if I'm standing on it doesn't matter where I'm at. In other words, the entity remains the criminal, engaged in criminal monitoring, and they communicated a unified threat through the demon Jay Sandoval, and the people of the state, the terrorists, are going to be prosecuted for it. It's relevant to deportation. It's relevant to a deep separation of gang stalking families that have custody of their children. You want to resort to more terrorism. While you are a terrorist that is being documented, you're going to be subject to what is more enhanced federal prosecution tactics. This is the P.O.C. This is relevant to also the federal RICO case, the government, every gang stalking airline, the gang stalking departments of the government that are engaging what is threatening to kidnap me through the Ontario Police Department with the intent to obstruct justice. They're all under a fake sun. They're all mentally ill. This fake sun is over me at 7 in the morning at this same bus stop while they're driving an engineer light and it's appearing on the side of their cars. Impossible light activity. They're all mentally ill. And they all vocalize the threat today to commit kidnapping because I'm exposing the fact that the mentally ill, demon-possessed terrorists in the state of California are unfit to be parents, that they are a threat to children, that they're gang stalking with, that they're engaged in vagina monitoring with, and that they are also a threat to the public and in need of deportation if you're not even a natural-born citizen. And you will be going to federal prison for kidnapping and criminal summoning and a threat to commit kidnapping with the intent to obstruct justice. P.O.C. It is currently 11:08 a.m. at 537 North Euclid Avenue, where this entity is obsessively stalking and monitoring and engaging what is a threat to commit kidnapping as an entity while they are monitoring the evidence. I just want to be clear. Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. This is the venue where this fake sun is over that roof. I just wanted to see it because this is the entity. Starbucks is engaged in what is threatening to commit kidnapping today. Just to give you one example of how you're going to analyze the whole entity and all the criminal conduct that they've engaged in. Where that fake sun is over that roof at 6 p.m. This is what I documented during daylight savings time this summer. This is the fake sun that's over me on the same street. This is the entity unified, speaking as one, stalking as one, monitoring as one, threatening as one, kidnapping as one as well. That's the pattern of conduct. The entity that's engaging what is threatening me, it's going to be relevant to the federal charges that you're prosecuted for. This is P.O.C. License 9 KPU 898, co-conspirator of murder. So is the third-party facilitating venue. This is CEASELESS Regis Group, the apartment complex, and everyone residing and working at the apartment complex, which is filled with engineer light as well, is engaged in criminal surveillance and is co-conspiring my murder. That is CEASELESS Regis, a co-conspirator of murder, with the city of Ontario. And that's light activity while 7 VCK440 is stalking in the path with the municipality co-conspirators of murder together, doing so under the where you've witnessed the city of Ontario gang stalking in this manner over the years, in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening under the fake sun. And if you'll recall, the entity has the fake sun over me as I arrived here later yesterday at 12 p.m. where the city of Ontario are demons engaging in what is criminal surveillance, conspiring my murder, which is exposing a gang stalking mayor, co-conspirator of murder, Paul Leon, where this fake sun also is over me at 12:51 p.m. daylight savings time, which would be the entity that has a fake sun as early as 7 and 8 in the morning. They're all gang stalking, and the entity has a fake sun over me at the same address at a later time while I remain at the bus stop at the same time yesterday. This is surveillance of specifically one person that the municipality is conspiring to murder with the entity that's stalking and communicating a threat to commit kidnapping. 1670854, an impossible light moves across the brick wall on the opposite side of the street. Impossible light activity while the municipality is engaged in demonic conduct, conspiring murder by gang stalking, sharing and surveillance with the people of the state who are unfit parents, mentally ill and sexually violent offenders who conspire the murder of American citizens that they gang stalk and then want to also maintain custody of children, and that's not going to happen. Okay, and also the gang stalking immigrants are being deported. 9JUE, look at that light across the curb. It's a demon. 9JUE017 is under a fake sun that's not even here yesterday. I'm still at the bus stop, and it's also not here while I'm checking out of the Ontario Airport Inn, where I have yet to continue walking on even Hope Boulevard. I get on the Omnitrans bus on that day. Employee number 3603 is terrorizing me with impossible light that you see all over the ground and the wall while they're stalking in the path under the fake sun, and I'm not even here yet. Yesterday I wasn't here until 12 p.m., where the people of the state are already in position, maintaining vagina monitoring, maintaining psychopathic pacing in and out of the venue and all around me on the computer. And I've already documented the entity keeping this fake sun in alignment to me in the same manner into the depths of that venue where the sun would not remain and where sunlight is not aiming inside like it is here, protruding into the depths of that library where the book stacks are for Mickey and Myra and all those other demons to engage in what is pacing on it. Okay, this is already on the record. The entity is following with the fake sun at an inconsistent, documented rate. And this is the entity over Family Community Library committed a threat to commit kidnapping today. And they did so in concert with the City of Ontario, the Ontario Police Department, and Jay Sandoval. They communicated that threat, and Jay Sandoval is under this fake sun over the same exact apartment building at 8:38 a.m. while she's communicating that threat, while exhibiting severe mental illness, conspiring my murder in real time, gang stalking while she vocalizes that threat, which is her audible activity while she's monitoring with terrorists, like what is these demons that are stalking together, remaining with light activity. They're just repeating what City of Ontario is doing. They're not going anywhere, stopping the P.O.C. They're monitoring together. This isn't the sun. RY029 handicap, and this old biddy keeps my vagina under surveillance. She's a sex offender. Satan is using that old wrinkly liver spot covered vessel. She's a demon. She's a sex offender. Satan doesn't have a gender. and certainly does not have any race or age discrimination issues. He's using all of them. And while Jay Sandoval is a demon threatening my safety and threatening to engage in kidnapping today as her method of gang stalking me and conspiring my murder, she's going to prison, and so are the people of the state. 9RQT225 was a vagina monitor, a psychopath who threatened to engage in kidnapping today, and so did everybody and the OVITT Family Community Library itself, the city of Ontario. This is P.O.C. It's currently 11:37 a.m. I'm not even here yesterday until after 12 p.m. This is P.O.C. And this is not sunlight. That's under a covering where the sun's not even here yesterday. P.O.C.
Alrighty, the entity that is maintaining criminal surveillance, and this is in other words terrorism by the mentally ill, that is a terrorizing threat as well. Not only the criminal pattern of conduct that is committed in furtherance of murdering me as an entity, but also the fact that they are mentally ill, and that is clearly exhibited through their criminal pattern of conduct, which is their engagement in demonic activity. The mentally ill are engaging in what is ongoing harassment and stalking with impossible light coming from the entry of the library area where I showed you the fake sun over me at the address at 215 E.C. Street, where it is over me at 537 North Euclid Avenue at that time yesterday. Remember, at 12:02 p.m. I remain at that bus stop where Omnitrans is gang stalking me in concert with that population that vocalized an audible form of a threat regarding kidnapping as a hostile, demon-possessed entity that's engaged in both terrorizing me and threatening to commit kidnapping because of my evidence to prosecute the government and the people of the state who are in the shoes of the government. The entity is engaging in what is vocalizing this threat in the specific environment while being a demon, engaging in the criminal conspiracy in real time with the intent to obstruct justice. Inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, the entity is engaging in what is maintaining that criminal system. They're all under the fake sun that's ahead of schedule over me as I arrived before I did yesterday, speaking to the ongoing documentation of the inconsistent environment, speaking to targeting, proven through that environment, and targeting by that population that is practicing delusional and failed witchcraft regarding what is a failed sacrifice, the entity that has sacrificed itself while it is threatening my life and liberty because I'm prosecuting it. The entity is engaging in this, and Gregory is engaged in harassment. This is a psychopath engaged in what is amplified audible activity at the entrance. This is a distance away from me, engaged in what is harassment with ongoing amplified noise. A psychopath that has a bookshelf and a book is creating what is amplified noise, while at the entrance, the demons that are stalking in the path at the C Street turn circle are stalking with impossible light, while the demons inside are pacing all around, engaging in what is stalking inside of the library itself, while the entity has this vibrant flashing of light conduct, while the demons are under the fake sun that's over me at the 215 E.C. Street from, as a matter of documentation, sunrise until sunset, and also doing so as I document inconsistent maintenance of this light source. I'm both remaining at the Ontario airport and checking out at 12. It's over me at that parking lot. I'm documenting it on what is G Street. I'm documenting it on what is Hope Boulevard. I'm documenting it while I am walking past the Motel 6, and the city of Ontario is engaged in criminal summoning. The same demons engaging in that last night on Euclid Avenue, where they're stalking as an entity with helicopter for over an hour, and then communicating a threat to engage in kidnapping because they are hostile to things which the terrorists are going to be subject to, including deportation, including loss of custody of children who are made terrorists, while the people of the state who are highly unstable engaging in the conspiracy to murder someone and remaining what is an obvious threat to those who are under the age of majority, subject to that unlawful threat by unstable psychopaths who want to commit murder and get away with it. Okay, and threaten any person that enforces their rights to not be subject to that. Okay, it is 1:05 p.m. The entity is not only engaged in what is stalking with impossible light inside of the library, they're doing so while they're stalking with ongoing amplified noise. This is the entity that is harassing as an entity while they are stalking and monitoring, and they all communicated a threat to kidnap me together while they're still gang stalking. That's what what is relevant as well. This is relevant to the gang stalker on video with the Ontario Police. Gregory is one of the many demons that's engaging in that. The entity is, all of the employees are, but these that I am aware of, the terrorist names that are engaging in that pattern of conduct in Gregory is gang stalking, greeting with the fake sun and impossible light activity with the demons that are stalking at the C Street turn circle, which is not going to create any light that appears on the inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, just like driving under the fake sun doesn't cause a mirage of light on your passenger side of your vehicle as you're driving south on Euclid Avenue and the fake sun is on the driver's side of your vehicle. That fake sun, by the way, that remains over that same street, over me at that same bus stop until 12 p.m. and I wasn't even here until after 12 p.m. yesterday, but yet the entity is stalking under that fake sun with that impossible light activity, creating and communicating and terrorizing threat, and also vocalizing a threat to commit kidnapping because of my very damning and probative evidence, which is serving to also humiliate the demons that have sacrificed themselves, and they have sacrificed what is their lives as they know it, while they have been gang stalking me with the effort to steal from me, defame my character, and kidnap me. The entity is engaging in this criminal conduct while also engaging in that threat. This was vocalized as a matter of evidence by Jay Sandoval, a psychopath who was under the fake sun, by the way, at the same OVITT Family Community Library at 8:38 in the morning. Right, it's 1:07 p.m. This is P.O.C. It's currently 8:55 a.m. Excuse me, it's 8:55 p.m. Excuse me. And this is his documentation, which you will see already posted on Facebook, is regarding the vagina monitors who remain in position, engaged in the state's pattern of conduct, which includes the perpetual sex offense. This is sexual violence that's committed as a public entity is engaging in criminal surveillance in sexually motivated and for sexually predatory purposes, such as not just surveilling you and stalking you, but stalking you in places like bathrooms, monitoring, which is even more inhumane with regard to what is surveilling literally your genitalia, literally monitoring your physical movements, monitoring you and your body and your private areas inside of places like the bathroom. The entity's doing this with children. This is why the gang stalkers are unfit parents. They're sex offenders and they're in custody of minor children while they're gang stalking in ways in which the demon-possessed never wanted to be exposed. The government never wanted to be exposed. The system was never designed to be exposed, never intended to. I want to be clear, as I publish the fact that the entity is engaged in vagina monitoring, true to form, the vagina monitors engage in a blatant and violative form of that, and this is through Securitas, who's engaged in monitoring my genitalia, and that's relevant to civil and criminal prosecution, and the repeat sex offender. This is Dylan of the Securitas. He's a sex offender monitoring me by molesting me with impossible light that shoots off like a laser while he opens the door, gang stalking me under the 4 p.m. fake sun at the OVITT Family Community Library. That's the same library, by the way, that I walked to this morning at 11:33 a.m. and that fake sun was over me, which is evident that Dylan is mentally ill and he's a violent sex offender who intentionally monitors my vagina while the entity maintains audible activity inside of the bathroom, waiting until the moment that I pull my panties down, spread my legs open, and that's when Dylan, gang stalking, wearing a Securitas in uniform and speaking for Securitas, was monitoring my vagina, and Dylan is monitoring my vagina. Dylan also, remember, vocalized a threat today to engage in kidnapping me because he's monitoring my vagina, and I published that sexual violence, which is a threat to my life. Dylan, with knowledge of that, the entity opens the door and does so as an entity is keeping my vagina under surveillance and with the intent to further sexually violate and traumatize and harm and threaten, is engaging in what is doing the bathroom check. Hi, you doing another?
Yeah, just you?
Yeah, just me. Thank you. Doing so, I want to be clear, they never do these many checks. They're doing so now as a means of monitoring, and also because of the fact that I'm talking about a check. In the same way, when I talk about you're going to do a picnic at the Ontario Town Square, the demon-possessed will engage in a picnic right in front of me under the fake sun that's relevant to surveillance. Nonetheless, the entity is engaging in what is doing so while the impossible light is inside of the bathroom. The entity is maintaining impossible audible activity inside of the bathroom. And Dylan, who is a violent sex offender and a psychopath, who is obsessed with my vagina, who is engaging what is threatening my life and engaging what is kidnapping and threatening to kidnap me, as Jay Sandoval vocalized on behalf of the entity, psychopathic, bearing guns and seeking to exercise authority she doesn't have while she's criminally monitoring me in furtherance of murdering me, okay? And doing so because I exposed this criminal conduct, where the entity, including the Ontario Police and the people of the state, are already prosecuted. So they're engaging what is harassment and sexual violence while I put on the internet the fact that vagina monitoring is ongoing. It's a violent sex offense, and it is a basis to remove children from the custody of domestic terrorists like the people of the state and those that are working for government agencies like Jay Sandoval and every other demon-possessed gang stalker, by the way. It is currently 8:58 p.m. This is detailing the sexual violence of Dylan and of Securitas, the OVITT Family Community Library that likes to practice such sexual violence by the multitudes in the same way that they do, as I documented last night at the 537 North Euclid Avenue, where the entity is engaging in a massive sex offense while engaging
engaging in what is terrorism, including the use of the same agency vocalizing a threat today, while I'm not violating the law that they don't have authority under, by the way, and they do so using helicopter stalking and harassing and molesting with light that is supernaturally occurring because they are obsessed with my body, my anatomy, and especially my vagina. This is P.O.C. regarding bathroom monitoring, including while another female is walking in monitoring under the guise of doing a bathroom check. It's 8:59 p.m. This is bathroom monitoring at OVITT Family Community Library, 215 E.C. Street. This is P.O.C. All right, just as a reminder, a bathroom check is the guise of a P.O.C. The entity calls things Celestial Security when they're engaged in monitoring and they know everywhere where you're at. They're monitoring you inside and outside of the bathroom while you travel, everywhere that you're going, and that is speaking to, again, psychopathic and malicious conduct. While you are stalking me as I walk in and out of the bathroom, making sure a demon is keeping their back to me as I walk outside of that bathroom door, you know exactly who I am and where I'm at. While you're engaging in that, that is relevant to what is the moment in time that you choose to engage in what is that bathroom check, which is a guise for gang stalkers to maintain sexually violent means of surveillance, such as Securitas, and specifically the sex offender Dylan, and to engage in what is that second bathroom check that you listen to while they are monitoring and they know exactly who you are and what you're doing. Those are the psychopaths that are engaging in that criminal monitoring system. So understand the entity that employs itself, like calling yourself a police department and you're engaged in surveillance and you know what you conduct an investigation. It's that type of conduct. This is P.O.C. Have a good night, Dylan. Good night. The entity is outside of the entrance door, stalking with light activity, monitoring my vagina. All right, that's light activity, and the entity is following every step of your movement. And you know that because a fake sun tracks, tracking my steps as I walk to this venue, a fake sun tracking my steps. As I walk outside, a demon is stalking in the path with the entity, a method of light, tracking my steps, and the entity is engaged in monitoring through opening the door, waiting till my legs are spread apart, my panties are down, my vagina is exposed, to do a bathroom check. 5HLT040 is engaged in vagina monitoring as well. Vagina monitoring is criminal conduct committed in furtherance of murder by the entity, a government that is absurdly psychopathic, and they are unfit to be in custody of minor children. And as Jay Sandoval and the people of the state of California also showed you today, they are co-conspirators of murder, gang stalking you, and such terrorists fully intend to violate your rights, kidnapping and murdering you in order to obstruct justice as you document and expose that. All right, it is currently 9:02 p.m. This is P.O.C. Okay, this is the entity stalking, flying over the downtown Ontario luxury apartment, stalking as I walk out of the OVITT Family Community Library, where Dylan is engaged in bathroom monitoring, and so are the people of the state. Sex offenders stalking, 8NOR998, I believe. There's no airport anywhere, and those are not headlights. There's no light. That's not headlights. That would create that dynamic light activity. The tree on the leaves are moving, and that's supposed to be headlights as well. It's not. These are demons. 9KNB 544, I believe. Sarah's Regis Group is engaged in what is vagina monitoring while Dylan walks in as the entity sounds amplified noise inside of the bathroom where engineer light is maintained, and he waits until I pull my panties down and my legs are spread apart to conduct a bathroom check in this environment where they're all surrounding, stalking and monitoring. Follow me now as I go from the library back to the place where I came from this morning, where this entity is stalking under a fake sun. Okay, P.O.C. This is speaking to the massive sex offense, which is a threat to your life while they keep you under surveillance, sexually violate you, and then they commit murder. These are demons that are pacing together. Those aren't their headlights. And this is mental illness, and they will not be maintaining custody of children. They engaged in what is a shared threat regarding kidnapping while they're conspiring your murder by gang stalking you. This is Sarah's Regis Group and this third party. And 9MNX 851. That's a psychopath proven through that impossible light activity. P.O.C. All right, so, this is the entity that's engaged in bathroom monitoring as I walk in. Let me give you more info. Here's a shadow here. There's a shadow back here. And there's another shadow right here in front on the side. These are psychopaths. That's a demon engaged in surveillance, knows who I am, knows what happened concerning my vagina, just like Dylan did, while they were stalking as a population. This entity, Jay Sandoval, the agency, the city of Ontario, communicating a threat to commit kidnapping while they're stalking in furtherance of murder. She is going to federal prison. This entity is threatening, speaking through that demon, and they're all absurdly psychopathic. This is surrounding with light. This is psychopathic conduct, and this is a threat to your life. These are the demons that are going to be treated with martial law.
P.O.C. It is currently 9:06 p.m.
Alrighty, it is currently 9:19 p.m. The sex offender that is Securitas. Remember, Securitas is not only a kidnapper engaging in targeting criminal monitoring with OVITT Family Community Library, which is the City of Ontario. Securitas is also engaged in federal group stalking monitoring via employment with Saris Regis Group at 320 North Euclid Avenue, the downtown Ontario luxury apartments, which I capture with the African-American female that wears the mop on her head, engaging what is stalking with the City of Ontario, stalking in the path, molesting with light, doing so while representing those companies. And so is the Latino male. I took a picture of that, molesting with impossible light with all the rest of the demons. And the entity is doing so, molesting me. This is psychopathic behavior. Psychopaths engage in they will kill you. If they are angry and you expose them for something that they did wrong. These are demons that are engaging in acts of violence, monitoring me, molesting, harassing, and terrorizing, psychologically torturing as they are engaging in surveillance, and their surveillance conduct, which is their violence, is following surveillance of this documentation. So that is what is informing the ongoing documentation as well, and this is directly relevant to this entity's vocalization of a threat to commit kidnapping and showing the entity that is indeed engaged in the co-conspiracy of murder, gang stalking as an entity that commits kidnapping together, in concert, in reliance on the people of the state who are going to federal prison for every act of kidnapping and criminal summoning, and gang stalking with the terrorist organizations such as Fontana Police, Los Angeles Police Department, San Bernardino Police, Upland Police, Ontario Police, etc., that I have documented. It is currently 9:20, so I do want to document Securitas engaging what is molesting me, targeting me while I'm on the property of Ontario Town Square. They're engaged in surveillance at the downtown Ontario luxury apartments, engaging in molestation at Wells Fargo. That is Wells Fargo that's committing a sex offense as you're prosecuting the entity that is stalking, and they share in this mental illness while they engage in violence with this engineer like this mentally ill behavior. These are the same demons that threaten kidnapping because they're losing the minor children whom they are a threat to as violent psychopaths who sit around engaging in surveillance, monitoring the genitalia of other people who clearly don't consent to it, i.e. the documentation, and they commit more violence. No, they will not be keeping custody of minor children. Yes, they are absolutely threats to those minor children, whom they are also including in this absurdly deranged and sexually violent and criminal conduct that they practice as a population with their children. Okay, I stated that, but I want to stress that the entity is losing custody. Understand, in other words, prosecution for domestic terrorists will automatically include whether you are an immigrant, whether you are a custodial parent, having access to children in any capacity, having an impact or being able to threaten, harm children, which is going to be established upon being a documented gang stalker. A gang stalker is a psychopath, a mentally ill psychopath, a sex offender. It is all of the above. They have directly proven through their criminal conduct and their mental illness, which they like to show with impunity, that they are going to be separated by necessity from minor children. And the entity is engaging in what is ongoing sexual violence, stalking, still stalking. Okay? Just like the Ontario Police, over an hour, still stalking. Just like the Ontario International Airport. If you saw what I published on the internet, I'm in Montclair, California on Route 61 on Holt Boulevard. At El Monte and Holt Boulevard, there is no airport over there, like I've stated is always the case. And the entity is stalking, hovering so low that they're at eye level while I'm aboard Omnitrans in Montclair, California, going to Pomona, and the entity is stalking by commercial plane. Okay? They're not engaging in anything other than stalking, and they're still stalking. And they've been doing that for years. They've been doing that while keeping my vagina, literally the vagina, my genitalia, that object on my body, under surveillance. In the way in which I detailed what Dylan and this entity shares, and they committed it together. Dylan is just the demon that walked in waiting for that perfect time where they're all sexually gratified by vocalizing a threat that they're going to kidnap me as an entity, and vocalizing a threat is sexually gratified while they wait until that pivotal moment where they know I am in that stall, in that specific position and state to engage in what is monitoring.
Okay, those are sex offenders that threaten children. They have sex with children, children that they're in custody of, children that they're not in custody of, children that they know, children that they do not know. Okay, while they engage in gang stalking me, showing the threats that they are to other people whom they also sexually violate in ways that are not consented to while they gang stalk me, and engage in acts that are also sexually violent, molesting and harassing and terrorizing with impossible light, to criminally monitor someone that you've conspired to murder. And that person is documenting you. And that motivates you to do more of it, including while the entire operation, not just you, that particular sex offender, is being documented, identified, associated with a greater pattern of conduct for which everyone else is being part. That does not stop them. They're still stalking. I just want to point that out to you. It's currently 9:24 p.m. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, I just took images of the Ontario Police stalking. They've been flying in circles in relevant position. That's what this is. And these demons who are stalking under the fake sun, stalking with light, are doing the same thing now that they were with Jay Sandoval while they communicated a threat as an entity that is mentally ill, stalking with impossible light activity, monitoring together as an entity that is engaged in what is a failed contract to commit murder, a failed one. And they're still monitoring. That's criminally cooperative conduct amongst the demon-possessed who are monitoring. Impossible lights moving all across this building over here, all across the trees. It's not their headlights, these are demons. And these are mentally ill demons who are unfit to be around and maintain access and custody to children, who are unlawfully remaining in this country as terrorists, and who are persisting in a failed murder contract while that criminal activity by the government and a population is being put on the internet. Jay Sandoval engaged in this right here in plain view, also under the fake sun, which is the same pattern of stalking with impossible light. Communicating a threat while you're engaging in that unlawful threat by the government. The people of the state are in the shoes of the government. Doing so with the intent to obstruct justice. Psychopaths are going to prison. Okay? Psychopaths that are gang stalking with Jay Sandoval, demons like them, engaging in criminal summoning together, they're going to prison. This is the entity that engaged in stalking for over an hour last night at this same bus stop while the fake moon was over my head, where you saw at this same bus stop where the fake sun rose over me, and where you saw that fake sun remained over me until I walked across the street, where that fake sun remained for the rest of the day. That's a demon engaged in psychopathic pacing again, just like they were right here, stalking, monitoring, and so are the people of the state. This is P.O.C. My shadow's in front of me here. My darker shadow is right here, shorter. My shadow is up front, projected over here. Those aren't headlights. Those are demons stalking in the path. They're doing so. Thousands of the people, thousands are engaged in what is co-conspiring my murder, maintaining an ongoing surveillance system, keeping me stalked by all of them. This is not traffic. These are people that are stalking me together. Co-conspirator murder, co-conspirator murder, co-conspirator murder, co-conspirator murder, co-conspirator murder. Thousands of the people of the state, the entire city, the population, and their demons. And they're stalking with the Ontario Police Department. They're engaged in the bidding of the government. That is engaged in delusional and failed witchcraft, and it is prosecuted as a criminal conspiracy to commit murder. And that criminal objective is relevant to the entity that has committed crimes such as kidnapping me, to defame my character, falsely depict my character, to get away with additional criminal acts, collateral harms that I've suffered by this entity that's been engaged in criminal surveillance. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:42 p.m. Tracy Banks and Jason Fields are going to federal prison. They are still practicing witchcraft, and they rely on the failed witchcraft of the Ontario police and the people of the state. They're going to federal prison for terrorizing me and conspiring my murder. P.O.C.